Ready or not, Bubba, we're live.
Wake up, Tony.
A surprise random Saturday Night Live. I know we're stepping on somebody. Who does a Saturday Night Live?
I don't know.
Ooh. Oh. Welcome, everybody. And just random Saturday Night Live. Me and Jamie haven't gotten together in, I don't know, what since you were here last, really.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
So
been some months now.
Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about Mopar guys, because this is what we are. We're Mopar people, and Mopar people are nutty.
They are.
Yes. We're known throughout the world to be among the nuttiest and most fanatical of all car people.
And it's hard to deny, isn't it?
Absolutely. Why are we so screwed up? Jimmy, is it a wiring issue that we have in common? Is it some sort of like childhood trauma that bonds us in this Mopar thing? Why do Mopar people talk only in code? They can never say, "Oh, it's black." It has to be. It's TX9.
It's TX9.
You know? Look at the air grabber. No, you can't say it's an N96. Why are Mopar people like this?
I wish I knew, but hopefully we're going to sort it out today. There are certainly some traits that we all share, aren't there? A lack of attention span, that seems to be prevalent.
We're all pretty much ADD.
Yeah.
Mopar people tend to be, we're on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
The light end of it, ADD, and then all the way up to I go full out. I go full, can of soup autism every once in a while. Right.
I'm there, pal. Yeah. And we're all hoarders. And I assume that's part of the same thing. And part of it's out of necessity. And I think, being a Mopar guy, you have to hoard. And so there's a certain type of personality that lends itself to that. But
wait, now you're a young Mopar guy.
Yes.
I'm like your father Mopar guy. Okay.
Yes.
But we were hoarding stuff when it was still available and new. And we were compulsively hoarding parts in the 1970s when these cars were in supermarkets.
Wow. Yeah, so, I don't know, but it's in the DNA. I don't know. It certainly is. Every Mopar guy has 10 projects at least, and a shop full of parts. Maybe a truck, maybe multiple tractor trailers, storage containers, shipping containers, I should say, or has been paying for a storage unit just piled full of engines for years now. Yeah. How many storage units are you down to?
Oh, I've gotten rid of so much.
Yeah, I know that.
No, aside from the stuff that's in my shed, in the attic, in the storage unit, and some things that are scattered around here and there where I've really forgotten what I have and where it is because I've been to so many places and left behind so many piles.
That is another Mopar guy trait.
Yes, we spread our riches everywhere.
I have the original 361 from my 66 Charger and a mountain of other parts at my sister's house, and I haven't lived there in 8 years.
Yeah, I've gotten rid of so much though. I really have. But for a while it was. But I was in the business, so I had that excuse.
Right.
When I got out of the business, I had to move. So I had the remnants of parts cars, and I scrapped out. Now I tried to give the stuff away legitimately, right? I tried for a couple of months before I actually had to move. I tried to legitimately give the stuff away. I ran ads on Marketplace, on For A-Bodies Only, and come and take it. Come and take whatever you want. But when the day came, I scrapped 60,000 pounds.
Dude.
60,000 pounds. And I did it myself, by the way, too.
Wow.
Me
wow.
and a double axle, a 16-foot double axle trailer, 16,000 pounds of scrap.
You mentioned For A-Bodies Only, and I know that's where you did tons of part selling when you were in the business.
Yeah.
But this is funny. Maybe you'll appreciate it. I don't know. I'm doing this Turbo Slant 6 thing, right? And so I need these little gems of Slant 6 information. And so I'm on the Google. And the other day, I pull up this thread on Fabo from like 10 years ago or 8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just happened to notice the username was Mid South Mopars.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
that was me.
Yeah. Isn't that fun?
I was White Punk on Nitro.
What, that was the name, yeah, but the picture, that was it. Yep, White Punk on
Well,
Nitro. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Give me 1 second because this video just popped up. Let me find this.
Hi to everybody in the comments, by the way.
Yeah, well, say hi to everybody in the comments. Keep them busy for a
that's what
second,
we're
and I'll find this.
Granddad's Junk. Plenty of other names I recognize.
That's just a great name.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's down under, as they say. He's got a Australian production, New Zealand production, whichever. 57 Plymouth, and of course they're wrong hand drive, and they all have Dodge dashes, which is really interesting.
Okay.
Hi, Chris, Bruce,
videos.
New Zealand. Apparently, Buick guys are also weird.
Oh shit! Yeah, they're different though. They're not as fanatical as we are, and they're much fewer in number. Ah, damn it! It's not here.
It's the ballast resistor. We were both dropped at birth. That's Thumper says that explains it.
Pontiac people are like that too, but again, not to the extent that Mopar people are.
It's just such a rule in Mopar world.
Oh, damn it. I can't find the video. There's actually a video of me finishing that engine up, that supercharged slant 6.
Uh-huh.
Oh wait, maybe I have it on my.
Is that the one you were talking about that the HEI wiped out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had this guy Keith Shanklin. He was an acquaintance of mine. I just knew him from the area. So he wanted to do a supercharged slant 6. He had a 64 Valiant, and he wanted to convert it to a 4-speed. And he wanted he had been talking to the guys at Torque Storm, and they hadn't made a package for the slant 6 yet. So they actually made one for him, and then they told him that it was going to be the prototype,
right,
for one that they were going to market. So we actually did the very first Torque Storm supercharger for this thing, and it ran really good. It surprised me, and it was loud. It was really loud, right? You could hear this car coming from blocks away. And he was a manager for a string of Burger Kings. So his whole business was running around Middle Tennessee to all these different Burger Kings. And that's the car that he used.
Doing it in that car.
And he was doing it in that car.
Nice. I think I've seen his posts about it too, right? I'm sure I've seen posts about the original Torque Storm Slant 6 kit. I'm sure of it.
But there's video of that thing being fired up for the first time.
Wow.
And it showed up, when you go on Facebook and it says memories from, it popped up a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
I didn't exist, but I can't find it now.
You know what I'm in the middle of, right?
I haven't been paying attention. I've been so in my own private Idaho here the last.
How dare you, private Idaho? That's a good one. Like you got better things to do or something. I'm building a Turbo Slant 6. I talked to you about it a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a 63 Valiant Signet 200 hardtop.
The 170.
170, which I thought was a 225 because it had a 225 air cleaner, and it came in a mess of early A bodies. And there was another one that was like the same car with a 225. So I thought, oh yeah, they're all 225s. I've never had a 170. It's got to be a 225. It says it right on it. Nope, it's 170. So, and it's goofy. It's very different. I'm running one of those stupid EFI kits, but only because it was free and because Boost, programming it for Boost is going to be like that. So, I don't have to rely on it. I just need it to do the thing it's supposed to do. And, anyway, so yeah, I got a turbo kit. I got an intercooler. I've got the EFI up and running. I just did an in-tank pump because the frame pump in the original tank was it was bad. I locked out a Mopar electronic distributor. I'm using that to trigger the EFI system, and then the EFI system is triggering an MSD box, and the MSD box is doing the sparking, so it's computerized timing. It's, I'm basically just turning it into a Subaru. That's the whole.
It's awesome until something goes wrong in the loop.
Oh, and it will.
I know.
And how great a lesson will that be for people when it does?
But now you see that 170. So you talk about Fabo. There was a guy on there. He went by the name Charlie S. was going to be posted under, and he had a couple of early Barracuda. He may have a Valiant also. He had a couple of early Barracudas in a Valiant, and he was big on slant six and nitrous. And he did this buildup with not even a buildup. He put 2 fogger nozzles in a stock 170 intake manifold, and ran like 1190 in the quarter mile with this thing.
Wow.
And he was like,
he
was a hardcore 170 guy.
Wow. Nice. Yeah, I'm interested to see what it'll do. I like the idea of the short stroke.
The head gasket is going to be the issue.
It might already be an issue. It doesn't even have boost.
You're not using a composite gasket, right?
No. As far as I know, it's still a steel shim. I don't think
that
engine's ever been apart.
You should be okay. I think Dulcich blew one up or puked the head gasket with a
composite one.
His was supercharged. No, his was supercharged. Or was it? Oh, I don't know. Dulcich did a slant six like 3 years ago, and it pushed out the head gasket. But yes, slant sixes. See, that's another hallmark of the Mopar guy, and I think that's what sets us apart from other people too, right? Now I don't know if you're like me, right? Now, most people who are into cars, their various makes, they go for the glory cars, whatever they happen to be, right? Mopar people, I love all of them equally. It's like, to me, it's beautiful, right? But I look at, I see a slant six 4-door Valiant. I see a Hemi Superbird, and I do not see a difference between them. Like they're exactly, to me, they have exactly the same value. They're both priceless.
Sure. I obviously have an appreciation for the cheap, it's like a little puppy dog. It's, I just love it as a machine and as a device. And it's hard to put into words what it means to you. Right. But yeah, I can't tell you how excited I am working on this 63 Valiant, which, many people in the comments have called ugly, pointless, worthless, etc.
These are people who don't have a soul. Do they have black eyes?
I don't know.
They must.
You can't see them in the comments section.
Dead black eyes if you don't love a 63 Valiant.
Right. But, my Charger is sitting right next to it, and I'm over here. Like, I'm so excited over here. And the Demon's over there, untouched and losing air out of the slicks.
Let me tell you how bad I am, right? Now, you've been to my place. You've seen, like, I've got coffee cans full of, like, classic old school Mopar guy, right?
Yep.
I will buy a load of stuff. Like, for example, I bought a guy was selling on a marketplace. He had a couple of Edelbrock carburetors on there for $50. So it was a box of Edelbrock carburetors and miscellaneous stuff, $50. So I ran out there and I bought it. I brought it back, and in the box there was a huge assortment of nuts, bolts, trinkets, hardware, stuff like that. So I pulled the carburetors out, and I was like, oh, it's like Christmas time. And I'm plucking out, fuel pump bolt, intake manifold bolt, 318, right? And I'm going through them, and what was left at the bottom was like an equal amount of brand X hardware, right? Like, like the Chevy oil pan bolts with that serrated washer on them.
Okay.
And it was like, I didn't even want to touch the stuff. I was like, ew, just throw it away. I don't even want to. But the Mopar trinkets that I popped out of there, it was like, a precious little hoard of.
Yes. I have a bunch of that stuff. I need to get it better sorted. I have a giant tin of it's like a drawer out of a toolbox with the face ripped off it or something, and I inherited that at our old repair shop, and that's all random brand X whatever. That's over here in a dark corner, and then there's a pile of small block parts, and then there's a pile of and there's butter tins of Mopar bolts and etc.
At the house, at my garage here at the house, I have a top and bottom box, and the bottom drawer has been out of commission now for at least 35 years or thereabouts. I had it in New York, and it's all assorted random hardware. So it's just the biggest drawer in the box, and it's like brimming with like just an assortment. I go through there and I find Top Fuel clutch parts, like Lenko fingers and stuff like that. But we're hoarders.
This is becoming a Hoarders Anonymous meeting. Yeah.
another Mopar trait. But yeah, man, I see a Valiant, I see a Cuda, I see, and they're all the same to me. It doesn't make any difference.
I've talked in a few videos about, Hemi car or whatever. I had a Hemi swap video. I was considering putting a 426 Hemi in my Charger, right? And so many people were like, well, that's not the same. Hemi cars are special and they're different and everything is different. No, I don't see them that way at all. It's the same car, a couple different pieces on it, but that is an expanded 1960 Valiant. That's what that is. Like, show me the difference.
You see, like when you talk about original Hemi cars and stuff, yes, I know the ones that were ordered from the factory that came through like that
Mm-hmm.
all have their, and we don't have to rehash it because
No.
we've both done videos on how to identify Hemi cars.
Right.
But for every one assembly line Hemi car that came down the line,
Mhm.
there was probably for every two assembly line cars, there was one dealer car.
Mhm.
Where somebody says, I want this GTX, but and motors puked under warranty. Can you replace it with a Hemi? Yes, we can do that. We can change the K-frame and bolt the motor in there, and it's only going to cost you $1,800. Right? There's a lot of cars like that. Six-pack cars are a perfect example. People are like, oh, it's got to be a V code. No, there are easily as many, if not more, dealer-installed six-pack setups than there were actually ones that came off the assembly line.
Yeah.
But the original along those lines doesn't bother me. But what does bother me, I like crossbreeding parts. You know, like using the GM the harness shroud. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the corrugated plastic stuff.
Yeah. That's
God,
like one of my pet
stuff.
peeves. You can't put that on a Mopar.
I hate that stuff. Please don't. I can't tell you how much of that I've ripped off, and I try to have the camera out when I do it.
Or the one-wire alternator conversion. That hurts my soul.
I know. I've done a couple of those over the years.
Don't tell me that.
Well, I've become enlightened. I mean, it's been 2.5 years since I made the classic Chrysler charging system video, which has gone on to get many, many views and mentions on forums and shares. And it brings warmth and joy to my heart when I see in the groups people sharing my video in response to charging system questions. And the whole premise of that video was, stop putting one wires on these cars. They're so simple and it's so easy to figure out. So again, like I've seen the light. It's not somewhere I go, but I have in the past. And
as long as you've renounced it, I mean, it's okay. Yeah. We all make mistakes as we go through life, and as long as you've renounced the one-wire alternator, I mean, you're okay with me again.
I've done so publicly, yes. I saw a comment I wanted to respond to, but I don't know where it's gone.
What was it about?
I don't know. It's gone forever. Was Mr. Norm responsible for a lot of six-pack conversions?
Yes, and Hemi conversions.
Nice.
Anything you can imagine would get swapped around there. That was a very busy shop, and that area was like just ripe with everything. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm sure he did supercharged cars too. He did the VSX.
The Demon, supercharged Demon.
A lot of people don't know about that one.
Oh yeah. Those, I keep seeing posts about those on the internet. Someone asked about my amps. It's all vintage Fender, and there's one Silvertone hiding over there, but mostly Fender.
Nice.
I'm in my office studio here.
Long Mopar saying he couldn't get a one-wire alternator to energize.
It wasn't a one-wire alternator. It was the standard 3-wire alternator, and you had to add an excite wire. Been there. Are you familiar with those GM alternators?
Yeah.
The one wire and the 3-wire are the same thing, but the 1-wire has an internal excite circuit, and it has, normally when you buy one, they have a rubber plug blocking off the 2 pins, right? You've got your excite circuit and your light circuit.
Well, the excite circuit is through the light, through the idiot light.
Yes, the light circuit, exactly. So there are two pins there, and you have to excite one of them if you're doing a conversion. If you're putting a 1-wire somewhere it didn't belong, sorry, I said 1-wire. If you're putting one of those alternators somewhere it doesn't belong and it doesn't have the internal excite circuit, you have to add that. And if you don't, it won't charge. They go on tractors, they're on boats, they're on all kinds of stuff.
Rich B1 is saying he grew up in the same neighborhood as Grant Spalding Dodge. Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. That's all right. I got a tour of that place. I was working for Superstock and Drag Illustrated back in 1996. I was actually the guy that found Mr. Norm. Mr. Norm, until I knocked on his door, and I literally had to knock on his door. Didn't have a phone number for him. I had an address. Didn't have a phone number. Steve Collison, who was the editor, sent me to go find Mr. Norm to Chicago.
Wow.
So I started calling friends that were there. I knew a lot of guys in the area because I was working with fuel cars in the area at the time. And one guy told me, well, I got his address, and I have his phone number. I got his address. So Collison flew me to Chicago, and I drove to Mr. Norm's address, knocked on his door. And he answered the door, just nice older guy. Yeah. Are you Mr. Norm? He says, well, yes. It was Mr. Norm. Norm Krause, pleased to meet you. Wow. And that was Mr. Norm's. He had no idea he was famous. And then I was there with what was his name? Okay, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Brian Coleman. He had that blown nitro 65 Coronet, the Mr. Norm's tribute car. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Everybody's got the picture of the fire burnout.
Oh, okay.
The red one.
Hold on. Blast the internet.
Are you finding it?
I'm fine. Oh yeah, altered wheelbase. Mr. Norm's Grand Spalding. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brian Coleman with a K.
Brian Coleman. Yep. So I was there with him, right? He was like my tour guide of the area. Wow. So Mr. Norm took Brian and I over to what was left of the dealership. Yeah. And it wasn't a tourist location or anything like that. It was just a boarded up old dealership.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mr. Norm brought us in there, and we had the tour of the place. There was still shed carpet on the ground, on the floor, and there was like wood paneling and all of that.
What year was this?
1997, 1996, 7, 8, someplace in that range.
Because it must have been not long after that, because he got involved with Dodge again. They did that new line of like the Ram pickups, performance pickups.
Mm-hmm. Like immediately after that. When we met him, I'm telling you, he didn't know he was famous.
Wow.
He had dropped completely off the radar, completely out of the car scene, nothing to do with it. And he was amazed that people remembered him. He brought us to the dealership. We took the tour of the dealership. He brought us to the building, the warehouse across the street. We were finding all sorts of like an NOS Hearst Super Shifter was just laying there. And Brian's like, "What do you want for this?" And he's like, "Oh, just take it."
Just take it.
We were like kids in a candy store. He gave us a tour through this whole building. We found all kinds of trinkets, and then he took us to the shop area back across the street, and the funny car was in there.
Oh,
the Charger.
Uh-huh.
So Brian and I both took turns sitting in the car playing Gary Dyer. I'd sit in the car. Brian would shake it. He'd get out. I'd get out. He'd get in. So yeah, it was a fun day, man. It was a fun day.
Wow.
But then he realized he was famous, and it went right to his head, like a rocket right to his head.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I've watched an interview with him from, I want to say 98 or 99 or something, when they were doing the whole Mr. Norm's truck thing.
The night I met him, he took me to a steakhouse in Chicago. Now I had never, obviously I'd eaten steak, right? Okay. But I had never been to a real authentic Chicago stockyard style steakhouse. So at this place, you go and you pick where your meat is going to come from. So we sit down and we have a couple of drinks, and then we go to this down this a hallway, and there's wooden bins, and in the bins there are these rotting hunks of beef. I mean, it's just literally sitting there rotting. And Mr. Norm pointed at the one he wanted, and the guy cut pieces of meat, the hide off. They cut away the outside of it, which is just disgusting and dried out and old looking. And underneath is like the most beautiful, perfect steak you've ever seen. And then, yeah, that was a really cool experience, Mr. Norm.
Wow.
Just Mopar Joe is in the house.
How's it going, Joe?
We were just talking about you, Joe.
We were saying super mean things.
Yes, as always.
As we always do.
Yeah. So Joe would probably know why are us small part people so freaky?
Why are we all so weird?
Why are we all so weird? What do we have? Can we get him on here? Joe, jump on here, man. I'd have to send him a link.
I can forward him a link.
Forward him a link. Get him on here.
Okay. Let me figure out how to do that.
And I'll go through here.
Apparently Stone Soup made it to Missouri. I don't know if you saw any of the Stone Soup stuff.
I saw a little bit of it.
Yeah, that 62 Lancer. It has been through many sets of hands at this point, and it's looking pretty cool. It's still all patina, but it's cleaned up. It's got nice wheels on it, and whatever was wrong with it when it was here is all fixed. It runs awesome now. Why is this not doing this stuff? Oh,
Rich B1, I would have loved to have seen the dealership in its glory days. I agree with you. That place must have been amazing. So, and when I did the story in Superstock magazine, I wrote about this too. But the key feature of the showroom, okay. So now you got a picture of this now. The showroom looks like it looked like our building doesn't even exist anymore. But it had, like I said, it had like shed carpets, and it was pretty ornate, right?
The showroom doesn't exist anymore?
Yes. No, really? Everything's been torn down.
Wow. I mean, the pictures were from a few years ago, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know
as far as I know, it's all gone.
Hmm.
So in the middle of, like literally in the middle of the showroom floor is a spiral staircase. And there was a second story. So I'm looking at the spiral staircase, and he says, that's where we kept our accounting department. I says, really? He says, you should have seen the crowd that would be in here just all day. People would be coming and going and just hanging out to watch the spiral staircase. And I was like, why? This is because it was an all-girl accounting department, and the dress code was that they wore miniskirts. So this is
the 70s.
Yeah. Mr. Norm knew how to keep his guys happy.
I guess.
Joe, you coming on here?
I shot him the link. We'll see.
Okay.
I have so many devices here, and I don't know how any of them work.
Jeff Lee, what's happening, bro?
The Trekkies of the car world.
We are. Yeah. But, the thing is, I feel, see, how old are you now? You're about 35?
34 this year.
34, right?
Yeah.
So the nice thing about it is that there are a lot of people of his generation, and Mopar Joe's about your age too, right?
Yeah. He's a year older than me, or maybe around the same. Yeah.
So it's not just us old timers. It's not like people are like, oh, it's just nostalgia. When you guys are dead, it all goes down the toilet. No, there's new generations of people discovering the magic of Chrysler engineering in the day, right? And loving it the way we love it. Like I pick up a bolt, I take a bolt, I can identify the year, the model, the location that bolt came from. I know the markings that are on the bolt. I can feel, I can touch it, and it there's a resonance that comes from the original. You see what I'm saying? There's that kind of love and attachment for these things. These younger guys have that same appreciation. So I know it's not just like, oh, you're just remembering stuff from your childhood. These guys weren't even an idea when this stuff was happening.
Right. I'm late to the party, but I sure do love it. I just got a link from Trev that I work with at Rocket there, and it's this 440 powered 70 Duster drag car. My camera sucks for this.
Oh, very nice,
dude. It's in Washington. It's on Bring a Trailer. It's like $8,500 right now. God, that's cool.
That's not bad.
It's a late. It says 70, but it's got a 75 nose.
You got a closer picture of it?
Let's see. Oh, here's a side shot. I don't know if this will work. Oh, Oh, apparently it's a national record holder.
In what
Trev
class?
said, I don't know, I got to read the thing. It might be too much work. Trev said, I thought to myself, it's nearby, it's affordable, it's a national record holder. Henson, it says. Yeah, this camera it won't
Nice.
focus, but
That
sick.
that paint job is McCullough's car, 1972, 1973. The Revolution Duster. It's not an exact,
but similar.
But it was. I could see it immediately. It was inspired by that car.
Gotcha. Revolution. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, the funny car. Revolution. And then, oh god, there's one picture of that, and then the Dacia Duster. Why did that come up?
The which?
The Dacia Duster. You ever heard of that?
No.
It's not worth it. Tiny, goofy European car. What are you waiting for?
Oh,
Trev?
wait, it's got like a sub 1 liter motor in it. There's like an 850 cc motor. Yeah, I'm not sure about. Tony, did you write articles on another name? No. There's a lot of times they pulled my pipeline office stories because I had too many in one issue. So it's like they didn't want it to be that, okay, like there's 14 stories in a magazine.
It's the
Tony wrote 12. So I take my byline off of a couple of them. But no, I never wrote under a different name.
Man, I have a cool souvenir here, which apparently I've lost. The pile of crap on this desk is ridiculous.
Yep, the Bob Beatty, the injected nitro car. They were always around. See, okay, so back in that time, in the 90s, I recognize that.
You should. One of my souvenirs from Tennessee.
In the 1990s, I worked for, oh God, what was his name now? Brett Welker with the Time Machine top fueler. And I worked with Mike Fazer, the Chicago Fire Fuel Altered. And I had my hands on one or two other cars, but they escaped me at the time. But every time we were running in that area, the Beatty was running that injected nitro Chrysler. And it always ran good, always had a great sound to it. They were really nice people. I never got involved with them in any way, but they were really super nice people. Just Mopar Joe. Joe, jump in here, man. We've got he sent you the link. Jamie sent you the link. Come hang out.
It's on your phone.
This is the first like relaxed live I've done it. I can't remember how long. They're always like very like mission appropriate, mission specific. Just get on there and go, right? It's nice to just hang out for a while for a change.
Who needs that?
Oh, we do. It's our business.
Well, that's very true.
Oh, he's backstage. Oh, I got a chance. There you go.
I wonder if he's been there for a while.
There he is.
What's up, Joe?
Been hanging out here. Hey guys, how are y'all?
What's happening, brother? Man, I'm sorry I didn't see you there.
That's okay.
I gotta lower you
somewhat technology challenged.
I think you got to turn. Can you turn your mic down just a hair?
Maybe move it away from my head. I don't.
Yeah,
it sounds okay over here. Is he loud to you?
Yeah, he's like a booming, echoing thing.
It might be because I'm quiet.
Oh, that could be. Or he has superior equipment to me. I don't know.
I don't know either.
The cheapest earbud that ever existed. How about now?
Joe, why are us Mopar guys so freaking nutty?
I tried to talk to a guy the other day about that, and it's like you get 3 or 4 different categories of people, like the ones that have to have every single bolt painted exactly a certain way and the date codes on the hoses and all the madness. Talking with Rick Seaman, there was a guy that his oil pump, the valve or something had stuck in it, and it blew the oil filter off or blew the actual O-ring off of it. Yeah. And the guy wanted, I want my original oil pump fixed and put back on the car because this is an original 69 Roadrunner. Give it a break.
The original pumps do look different. They do look different.
They do.
They have that Y design on them.
I know. Look? You got to lay on your face underneath there to get it to see it. But
yeah,
you see, I don't have that in me for my own cars, right? But if I'm looking over a car that's been restored and it's supposed to be restored, right? Yeah, I notice every little detail, and it's got to have the right hardware in the right places and the right, it's hypocritical because I don't do that with myself, but those things aren't important to me. I don't present myself as a restorer.
Right.
But if you're going to restore the car,
Yeah.
restore the car or build a hot rod.
Yeah. Being at the restoration shop has really given me a level of involvement in that. I mean, I've spent hours restoring correct factory oil pan bolts and coating them and everything. Like I did that Daytona engine a few months ago, and that thing, just so much in that mindset of everything has to be perfect. It has to be. It's crazy.
So Vincenzo
Pentagelli.
I can't even pronounce it. I'm Italian. I'm destroying your name, brother, man. Why? Because we didn't fit in with the masses of GM guys, but we're not as oddball as Ford people. Well, see, I said we're nutty, okay? There's a difference now. Ford people are clinically insane. Because I've dealt with them, and every hardcore Ford guy I've ever known, and I've known a bunch of them, are nuts. Like these people are out there. But
yeah,
we're not that bad. We're not that bad.
I defended the original oil pump guy, and ET Enterprises says that's the perfect real-time example of how weird Mopar people are.
Yep. So,
yeah,
I'm just saying, they do look different.
I know, but I'm probably running a high volume pump anyway, so what is it?
Why would it ever matter to you? I mean,
that's it.
You got a hot rod. There's a difference.
And I have a problem trying to. Everything I own at some point has to get raced. I was like that when I was your age. And I got a 70 Challenger. I did a Gen 3 Hemi swap. I hated it. I pulled the Gen 3 Hemi out.
Yeah, I love everything about that, by the way.
There's only a few people threw some rocks at me about that, but it's getting a 440 now. So.
This is the first I'm hearing of this. Why did you hate it? Because I have a dislike for those motors myself. But why?
10,000 miles of wiring. So I had an MSD Hemi 6 box or whatever you call that, and then I had a fast EFI kit to go on.
Okay.
So giant wads of wiring. 5.7 from 05 Durango. I got it very cheap. I rebuilt it, went through the engine, ported heads, and it had a 6.1 cam. It sounded like a state trooper car or something, just smooth idling, just that it has no soul. Like it pulled fine, like it revved good. I only 276 single track rear end, it would burn the tire first, second, third gear. It's 833. But man, it
had no soul. I know.
No,
I know. There's
did you
something
see the one I
about...
did? The 392 one that I did with the 6-speed and everything. It was psycho. Sure. Oh yeah, it was the Hemi swap Challenger I did, 71 Challenger, and it was absolutely nuts. But just like same thing, like it's just not. It's not right.
And you see that. I mean, logically, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's okay. It's got a 1843657 fire in order. So it should have the same exhaust note. It should have the same, all of these inputs should be the same, but they're not.
Right.
There's something missing there, and I can't put my finger on it.
It's hard.
Before I started even doing YouTube, when people around me were getting into the late Hemis, who was it that had the Howard? My friend Howard, who I got the Charger off of my 67 Charger. I got it from him. He went and picked up a Challenger, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna love this thing." And I got in it, and I drove it around for an hour, and it's just no. It had balls. It was great. It did this. It did that, and it did absolutely not a thing for me. And I just can't love them. There's something missing.
I think I was like 19 or close to 20 miles per gallon in the thing, driving 80 miles an hour in the interstate. Just zooming back and forth. I'm like, man, and I've got it's a Vanishing Point clone car, so it's supposed to have a big block. I did it a disservice. Even it was a fad, and I got caught. It's so easy to Hemi swap. Just do it. It's fine. Everybody's doing it. Well, I did it, and I'm like, God, I won't get. Please come buy this from me. And
I've heard someone say on video not to build to a fad.
Who said that? Who would say something like that?
I don't know.
Which one?
What kind of commie would talk about not building to a fad?
It wasn't me.
Right, brother.
So,
83.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, this is the engineering speaks for itself. Right, brother. 83. I've convinced several friends over the years.
Converted
Several friends over the years into Mopar guys. The engineering speaks for itself when you're a car guy, and that's what I've always said. It's the design language, right? It's like I look at any part of those cars. It's like that golden era, 1960. Because I have an appreciation for the pre-60 cars. I have an appreciation for early Hemis. I worked with early Hemis for a long time with the fuel cars. But something happened beginning around 1960 with the A body, or before it was pre-A body. It's the Valiant, and that expansion and modification of that basic platform and all of the things that went with it are like holy and sacred. I can't put my finger on it exactly, but I've been working with these cars. God, I'm 62 now. I started like really in them when I was 15. So figure out how many years I've gotten this stuff, and I still marvel at how perfect they are. And most people don't get it, but I lay under one of these cars and I look at the way the back frame rail, kicks up and just molds right into the rear bulkhead and and it's just like, oh my God, this is just too perfect. You know what I mean? It's like, I think I love them too much.
So, Cooling Fin in a comment said, engineering, yes. Quality control, not so much. Indeed. We call that factory shitty. You're supposed to have, I love opening a hood and seeing that run on the passenger side of the firewall. I think the painters tested their guns there or something.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened, but not every car, but so many cars that are original paint under the hood. You see that fat run right across the passenger side of the firewall, the cowl area. And, I just love that.
Yep. And how many of the radiator support blackouts where you see the rattle can was running low?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
And they're always, you can always tell because they stood under the cars when they did that, but they were like off to the passenger side. And so the paint's always higher on the passenger side and it's always kind of at an angle and there's missed spots. And it's just, I love it.
I think, wasn't that Warman who said it just looked like a drunk came in one morning and just, hosed it on and went to the next car until he ran out? Like,
sounds about
there's
right.
a good chance they were drunk. I mean, you're talking about Detroit in the late 1960s, early 1970s, assembly line workers. No, there's a good chance that they were drunk when they put those cars together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So can I ask the question while we're here, being crazy Mopar people?
Yeah.
So, Tony, if the axle hadn't snapped, who would have won that race?
That day? I think I think I would have had him like by that much.
Tony had it.
I think I would have had him by that much. I don't remember what the numbers were.
I thought you said it was a low 850 or a mid 850, or maybe it was even like an 861 or something. Because you were off with that coil wire thing.
Yeah, the car had to stumble, and that eternally. So I put that car together with a stock valve body because it was just supposed to go down power torque, right?
Right.
So after that, I got lazy. I just didn't feel like laying underneath the car and pulling the valve body apart and doing one. So I just tied the kick down back and we're running it like that. So it's very long, drawn out shifts, which eats up ET also. I think I probably would have edged him out that day. I don't know. Now you've got an 830, right?
830.
All right. Yep. So that's
I am such an idiot for not putting the friggin' 489s in first. If I had my thinking was I was going to babysit this 360 by not revving it as hard by using the 410. But what that did instead is screwed me out of the hole, aided the horrible bog, and put extra strain on everything else everywhere. If I had the 489s in there, it would have been a much better matchup.
Well, I am guilty of the same thing because that car's got 430s in it. And I have a set 49 sitting on the shelf. I showed it to you. I was like, should I put these in? Nah. We'll just run it with the 430s, which is not enough. That car's 3,400 pounds without me in it. And then, the tire, it's got, I don't know how tall, 30-inch friggin' tire. So, yeah. But I'm going to leave the 430s in it when we go out again. The only thing I'm going to do is the valve body.
The valve body, yeah.
I got one from Cope. He just sent it. I got it yesterday.
Nice.
So a kit, because I'm an idiot. because I'm a freaking idiot,
And you
because
gotta
I
do it
don't know
yourself.
why. I got to make life difficult for myself. So rather than just ordering a valve body like any common right-thinking human would do, I ordered the kit. So now I got to spend an entire friggin' day converting the valve body over. But
There you go.
that's the only change I'm making to the car.
We had a really good clinic before that, and I had Jamie out like punching his slicks, like on Rocky. Instead of meat hanging, we had tires hanging. We weighed them. We had the science down and everything. And I was partially to blame because I was like, dude, don't put the 480, 480H, whatever in there. You're gonna blow that engine up. You're gonna be, it's gonna be revved to the moon.
No,
we'll
I thought
even
the
make
same
it over.
thing. I didn't think that engine would go there, so I thought I was making the right call. We'll keep it lower in the rev range. Nope.
My bad.
Nope. It loves those but I thought the same thing. So we both together made the same mistake. Should have just done the 49s to begin with. It would have been so much faster.
But in the meantime, what happens on a drag strip is what happens on a drag strip, and the fact remains, I gapped you by 41 car lengths.
Yes, I've heard that several times.
Okay, so that's how it stands, bro.
Yep.
School
That's
buses.
where we're at. Buses.
41 car lengths. I think I calculated it out. I measured my duster and did all the division.
It's good stuff.
I think his car's got a lot in it. I think he's got that thing running the sevens.
Yeah, I'm still running a 2-second 60-foot. Like, there's so
you've got
much
the same
more
thing.
in that.
Your Duster does exactly the same thing my Jeep does. Okay, it leaves it on the dig. It's okay, and then wham! Right, like the red XJ. I took it for a romp on that thing, right?
Yes, we went up the street in it. Yeah,
it has the acceleration rate of a solid 13-second car.
You said something in your video on it the other day where on the street this thing feels so fast. That's how the Demon has always been on the street. It's right there, and then when it hits the strip, it all falls apart.
Well, it doesn't run any stronger on the street, but it bites on the street.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't have this no problem walking that thing. I can leave much more aggressively on asphalt than I can at the drag strip.
That's how the Demon was on the old tires. When it was on the drag radials, on the street, it was amazing. I practically couldn't do a burnout. It just would go. And then on the strip with the drag radials, it would just blow the tires off every time. The slicks changed all that, but yeah.
So, but that's the way if you get that bog worked out of your car, that dive, you're way in the sevens with that thing.
Yeah,
that's like a 780, 770 car.
I think so. Yeah, I got some ideas. I'm hoping to be back at the strip 2 Fridays from now.
Yeah, I was going to go last night, and the plan was to go last night, but I didn't get the valve body, and I just haven't had the time to do all of that. So I'm going to try to go next Friday.
Yeah, the people really want to see you gap me digitally, so you better get on that.
Well, if the damn car just doesn't do anything stupid for a change, you know what I mean? We'll be all right.
Yep,
we'll be all right. Yep. It's all my own fault. I've lost that, the killer instinct. Like when you're younger and you're racing, it's like, well, Joe, right? It's like,
whatever. He goes out there and kills.
What's that?
He goes out there and kills.
Yes. You get to my age, and it's like, I really want to swap those gears. Like 30 years ago, I would have gone to the track with like 3 different center sections and just been swapping them out. And now I'm like, that'll be all right.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Andrew Button said drag radials are useless unless they're really heated up in the burnout box. I have a comment about that. And my comment
that's not true.
No, it's not. And also, in the burnout box, in that car, I was running with a friend in an almost identical car, but automatic. And he was running 815s, 820s all day long. So I was like, that's where I should be. And I still haven't gotten there. But his wife spots his burnout for him. And she was laughing at me. You got to do a bigger burnout than you are. Not a giant standing burnout, but you got to get some smoke. You got to get them hotter. So I kept trying. And every time it would just push the car out of the box. It would just push the car out of the box. It wouldn't do a burnout. I had the same thing with Joe. Do a big burnout with the slicks. It just shoves. It just moves.
You're
It's like
just
just
not
stay
getting them
stay
wet
in the
enough.
edge of the water, and then you
Yeah.
can start. And
Yeah.
we tried different ranges and
I've tried
everything.
a bunch of stuff. It will not do a big gnarly smoky burnout. I'm gonna try second gear now that I got the 49s.
That's what I was
second
hoping.
would not work with the 410s. With the 49s, I think it will, but that's
Right.
part of it. It's not enough wheel speed, but it's been an ongoing issue.
But no, with the drag radials, you don't want to get them hot.
No,
Drag
you
radial.
clean 'em.
Now, my first experience with drag radials was just a couple of years ago because when I got away from drag racing back in 1999, I think it was 1998, 1999, cold turkey. I was done, right? And I didn't even think about cars until I got into selling Mopar parts.
Mhm.
It was all motorcycles for that period of time, right? So drag radials were introduced during that period of time, and I was completely oblivious to them. And then I got my first set a couple of years ago and put them on Bottle Rocket.
Right.
Those things were amazing, right? Just like, I mean, total game changer. Like I should have them on Sledgehammer, but Sledgehammer doesn't really need them. Bottle Rocket, I'm hitting a 150 shot right on the starting line, so it needs them. And those things work really good. And I tried a big burnout with them. It wasn't quite right. Barely any burnout, just cleaning them off, and they bit that car. It'll lift the left front wheel, no problem. Just really good tires.
The look of the giant slick on Slaghammer is way more important than
Right.
actual traction.
Well, that's the thing. Sledgehammer is about the look. It's a freaky car, right?
Oh yeah.
If I can get it to run down to any place like in the middle sevens, and I'm completely happy with it. You know,
Yeah.
I get a kick out of that car. That's the thing about that car. I walk up to it no matter where I am. Where do we take it? I walk up to it, and as I'm walking up, I'm like, "It's just so cool." That's the car I drew when I was 7 years old,
Yeah.
and there it is, right there.
Following that thing to the track that day was cool. Just seeing it in traffic.
I'm telling you, I love that car.
It barely fits on that trailer. It's like, yeah,
Pulling it with an XJ.
Legend. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Max Level says 47 car lengths is nearly 700 Fudgy the Whales end to end.
So no, it's more than that.
Yeah.
Stick car and leaf springs, I think slicks are appropriate. Oh, I don't know about
yours
that.
isn't a slick car, stick car. Well, like I said, the drag radials worked very well on the street. I was always impressed with that. And I've videoed every time I've ever been to the track with a Demon, and I have it on video. It would just blow the drag radials off. I couldn't. I think I should have babied it out of the hole with those tires. I think I would have had to.
Well, so stick car and leaf springs, there's definitely going to be a difference between a pinion snubber and no pinion snubber.
Well, see, that was the issue. That's why I pulled the snubber in advance of coming down to race you. But then I ended up with slicks again at Joe's, so we put the snubber back on, and it worked until I broke it.
Just don't do that next time, and it'll be fine.
I'm doing better.
Let's see. I'm looking to see what. If you guys say anything in the comments, you want to.
Yeah.
Just jump in there. I'm just rolling back through here.
How do you guys feel about the Diplomat aluminum brake master cylinder? Joe, you run those?
No, I bought the like one of the cheapest Pirate Jack kits, the convert from drums to disc. But when I got my car, it had the small, like the tiny slant 6 drums on front.
Oh yeah.
And on the rear, it had a Dana 60 that somebody had like Willwood 4-piston caliper disc on the rear.
That's a
combination.
And I tried it because, it was on there and it stopped great. And I went like 680s with front slant 6 drums on that combination of stuff. And I'm like, well, I better update because I'm trying to get on down low 6s now, and I'm getting a little nervous.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
I
way back in the day. I mean, I've run 125, 130 miles an hour on those 9-inch drums. I can't tell you how many passes at the track and on the street. Never had a problem. Never had a problem. But I mean, of course, that was 40 years ago, and I guess the world is different today.
It is. The
Right.
10-inch drums on the Demon are great. I have no complaints. I'd never change them.
We ran.
Yeah.
I had a
Let's see.
I had a guy named Stan. He had a Hemi Challenger that had 10-inch drums. I was his driver. He used to tune the car and drive it. He was scared shitless of the thing. And that had 10-inch drums, and we ran that all the time. Always stopped straight as an arrow. I'm a drum guy. I just like drums. I can't help it. It's like drums to me say no nonsense, right? I mean, it's just like this is the most simplest thing you could possibly, the less rolling resistance, the simplest thing you can use. Just send it.
Yeah, I appreciate a good working set of disc brakes.
If you look at funny cars, previous to let's say 1970, when it was still been like the Logie style cars with the stand-up cages and all of that, and they were running 190 miles an hour, and all those cars ever had was drum brakes on the back.
On the back. Mm-hmm.
You know, factory drum brakes. They stopped just fine.
Cave Dave, what is up?
I will say, like, if I've made 10,000 passes down a drag strip, 0 of those have been a quarter mile, and zero of those have been with a stick car.
So you've never done real drag racing?
Yeah, 8th mile automatic, baby.
Dude, you know how often I hear that?
I'm a convert, man. I'm a convert. If I never see another quarter mile for the rest of my life,
I like it. I don't mind it. And dude, I don't want to go 130, 120, 130 miles an hour in the kind of stuff I'm liable to take to a drag strip.
That's kind of, yeah.
Well, you know, the thing
about
is,
my brakes.
Yeah.
that extra like 30 miles an hour you're going to pick up, or whatever it happens to be, is the difference between having a cage or freaking car. Like, I'll take something like Bottle Rocket out, right? I don't think twice about it. It's got no cage in it.
Right.
And if I do stuff it, I'm going to stuff it at 100 miles an hour. It's not that big of a deal.
Right.
But stuffing that same car at 130, 140, because you know, like, so it square roots itself. The inertia, the damage, it square roots itself. So then you're like, oh, you start to think about it. And when you start to think about it, you don't really.
That's what I'm saying. People are saying this to me about my Demon, which has a lap belt, no cage, 4-wheel manual drums, old front end parts, like.
Right, and you wouldn't think twice about driving that car 95 miles an hour.
Absolutely not.
Right.
But yeah.
But you would think twice about driving that car 130 miles an hour.
I do want to come home. So, yeah.
Yeah. That was some of the tech rules we were looking at, I think, for AHRA stuff. You know, it's like you can have a lap belt. It's safe to 770 or 50 or whatever. But if you have expired 5-point harness, you can't run.
Wow.
So the old flappy lap belt is better than an expired 5-year-old 4-inch thick something that you could flip your car over with.
I remember when they started that back in I guess it was around 1990 or so. They started with the 2-year certification on the belts, and that was the first thing. And then they kept adding stuff and adding stuff and adding stuff. I was just talking about this. I don't know if it was on a live or if I was having a conversation with somebody else. What's that?
I heard you talking about the certifications on
the dragster.
You were talking about that.
The last year that we ran the car, it was like almost $5,000 in certs.
Yeah.
Plus shipping for all of the stuff that had to be certified.
Wow.
How insane is that?
Very.
It's not for me.
No. I don't need to go that fast.
Yeah, nobody does really.
I know, I run IHRA, so that's my normal points in my racetrack. The only rule that kind of throws me, the top of your fuel cell can't be higher than the top of your rear slick. Like, they want your fuel cell sunk below that somehow, and I don't understand how does that help? If your fuel cell, like example, if it's flat in your trunk, like mine, I have a back aft car, so it has a flat trunk floor, and mine's mounted on top of the trunk floor.
Right. The
top of the cell can't be higher than the top of the slick. So if you looked like a side profile of the car and the slick's here, if your fuel cell is higher, they say that's a no-go. You got to have it equal to or below the slick.
Could it be because people might have been raising them way high for ballast?
Right. That what I was kind of thinking.
I guess, but even just to run bracket race it, like that's a rule. Like,
I don't know. I've never heard that rule before.
I don't
The only
know.
reason I could ever think of mounting it higher than the slick would be to use it as bow.
Mm-hmm.
So weight high is the same as weight back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just to me, it seems safer if it's tucked up higher behind the bumper versus let's hang it way down low in case you did actually wheelie up or something, you know. I don't know.
Don't look at me.
I'm looking right at you.
Yeah, same.
It's always more fun to drive. I have this conversation with motorcycles all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's always more fun to ride a fucking small motor. Excuse my French. I know we got kids process. It's always more fun to ride a small displacement bike 1010 than it is to like 180 horsepower bike, and it's just like oh god, you know what I'm saying? Much more fun to take a 50 horsepower bike and just run it.
I don't know why, but the I can't afford thing reminds me of a comment I got today, and I don't think I'll be able to find it, but it was like, man, you're doing all kinds of stuff, cool stuff for a car channel. You've probably got 1/10 of the income of those big channels, and I'm like, you think I have 1/10?
Mm-hmm.
Some of those guys, man, they spend a lot. They spend a lot of. I just want to say the six street garage. My mind is calibrated in quarter mile. I don't know what fast 8th mile times are.
Yeah.
Bro, I was born and raised around. I grew up 20 minutes from Englishtown. Right, so Englishtown and Atco, my home tracks. Thousands of passes between those and Island and all these other quarter mile tracks in that area. And I never would have considered 8th mile as the thing until I moved down here to Tennessee. And now all the tracks around me are 8th mile, and I became acquainted with it. I became accustomed to it, and now it's like I can't believe that anybody ever bothered racing a quarter of a mile, because it's like,
right.
You think about it, right? 6th Street Garage. How many passes have you made with your car? Okay, you get to the 8th mile, right? You get at the halfway mark. What happens between the 8th mile and the quarter mile? That last 660 feet. What happens? Nothing.
You already know everything you need to know, even before the 8th mile, frankly. But yeah.
But that's besides the point. All of the gears have been thrown, right? All of the chassis has done whatever the chassis is going to do. The aerodynamics are at work. Everything's doing what it's going to do by the time you get to the 8th mile. From the 8th mile to the quarter mile, you literally sit there and listen to your stuff come unglued. That's all it is. You just sit there going, ah! Why, right?
Nice.
Call it quits at the 8th mile and have a good time.
Oh, mind-blowing watch.
That last, sorry, go ahead. I'd say that
ahead.
Last half a quart of oil at the bottom of your oil pan finally got sucked to the top. So, that last 8th mile.
Mind-blown watcher said that I have a secret 671 supercharger project. I do have a secret supercharger project, but it's not a 671. It's just little. Did you know that no one makes a 471 intake for a small block Mopar? So I'm going to build one. They may have at one time in history. I can't find even pictures of them. You can find them for a small block Chevrolet, but haven't seen one for a Mopar.
I can't picture one.
If you're doing a big block and you want an 871, well, and probably 671 as well, you're well cared for. But yeah.
But I tell you what, I've seen people adapt 471s, and I saw a it's similar to a 471, but it's not. And it's one of the GM root style blowers. It's escaping me right now, but just to stick to the 471.
Yeah.
You could do is take a single 4-barrel intake manifold, mill the carb plate flat, and then just use an aluminum. Right, that's the way to do it. You just got to mill the carb plate flat because they're all tilted forward.
The actual outlet section of the blower is like that. It's just a rectangle right in the middle. So you just need an open rectangle on the plenum. And then the 471 is mounted by 4 bolts or studs. So you just need a plate, drill and attach a plate to mount those 4 fasteners, gasket under your plate, gasket over the plate. And there you go.
You got 2 types of 471s. There's the V 471, and then there's a straight 471. So the one you're talking about there is the V 471.
Not sure.
Well, the difference is, your sixes are the same way, eights are the same way.
Yeah, there's
Although
a 6V or an inline 6.
Yeah, but that's the difference. The V style blower has the anchors on the side, and it uses those long bolts to suck it down. And the straight regular, like the 671, has that flange that's 11. The bolt pattern is 11-inch by 11-inch with 4 bolts.
Yeah, I've never compared all of them. I've had to identify them in pictures and stuff online, but I couldn't tell you which one.
I stole a bus when I was a kid
You told me
for a
this story.
V671. Yeah. I'm sorry, it was a V871. But.
Well, I hate to be
when we were on the way to find a steak.
I may have to jump out on y'all. My chariot's turning into a pumpkin soon, so I appreciate y'all having me on.
Well, we still haven't figured out why Mopar guys are weird. So, do you have any final parting thoughts on that? Is it in the blood?
I think just born that way because you're either a Mopar guy or you're not. Like it's really hard for me for people to say I love Mopars and whatever, and then they, buy an occasional Corvette or whatever, and they're like, well, I really like I'm a Mopar guy.
Living the lifestyle, or
I did have a Trans Am once, but I'm not. We won't talk about that. But y'all have a good evening, and we'll do this again sometime, hopefully.
Good night, brother. Good having you around.
See you, Joe.
All right. See you.
All right. So he's checking out.
Have you ever owned a Trans Am?
No, I have never owned a Trans Am. I've worked on plenty of them.
I've
worked on them, and I've felt really weird driving them.
Yeah. I had an 85 Trans Am, and when I was 17, 18, that seemed pretty cool. It wasn't, but it seemed pretty cool.
Andrew, this is true. Mopar guys usually hate everything but Mopars. Non-Mopar guys usually own none.
Hate's kind of the wrong word, because, and it's not just because, you had one famously and wrote a bunch of articles about it or whatever.
Yeah.
I've always liked the Fox body Mustang. I still want to own a Capri, I think would be my choice Fox body. There's one here right now, which I'm going to do a video on. So take that, Mopar guys hate everything but Mopar's guy.
Well, the thing about the Mustang, and I explained it in that story, I think I did, or maybe in the column, I don't remember. It was 40 years ago, right?
Yeah, right.
The thing was, I wanted a new car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and my first choice was a GLHS, and I couldn't get one.
Really?
And then, they just weren't available. So, no, I couldn't get one through my local dealerships, right?
Gotcha.
So, I was in traffic. My daily driver was a 70 Roadrunner, and I was in traffic, and ahead of me was a 5-liter Mustang, brand new car, right? And the light turned green, and he romped it off the through the intersection, and he got sideways, and he banged second, and it got rubber, and I was like,
oh,
done, sold.
Nice.
And I literally drove right from there to the Ford dealer and ordered the car. And then called Kathy and said, Kat, I just bought a Mustang. And she's like, you did what? I just bought a Mustang. That's literally how it happened.
Nice.
There was no planning or forethought or anything like that. It was that spontaneous.
This is what I'm doing.
Yeah. So
nice.
But I did have plenty of Mopar stuff in my hands at that time also.
Right.
I had Hemi Roadrunner, I had all kinds of things. I had a fuel car built too. It was all Hemi stuff. So I was doing the Mustang thing, but I was still surrounded by Mopar stuff.
Right. If Mopar had any equivalent to that, you might have looked at it.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I had it in my mind that I was going to buy a GLHS. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, I got the Mustang because the Mustang really was a game changer. The Mustang was a life changer for me as far as that goes.
Right.
There's a good chance I wouldn't be here right now doing this if it wasn't for the experience and everything that happened with the Mustang. So stuff happens for a reason. The universe is always setting you on a, you know what I mean?
Yep. No, I do exactly. I wouldn't be sitting here doing any of this if I hadn't heard a cammed up 68 Charger RT when I was 15 years old and was like, what is that? It's the coolest thing I've ever seen and heard.
Yeah. I learned a long time ago, when the universe points you in a certain direction, don't hesitate. Just Just go. It may seem weird. It may seem, but just go, and something's going to happen. You know what I mean? Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
That was my my Mustang experience.
Final thoughts on the non-Mopar thing. I owned a Buick I really liked. We've talked about that before, actually. Yeah. I like Buicks. It was a 430 powered Electra, a big boat, but I just loved that car. It was sweet. Had that for quite a while, and I actually kind of like turbo Subarus. I don't know why. I'm not really
As do I. I
that guy, but I just appreciate them. And really, what I see my turbo Slant 6 project as is turning a Slant 6 into a Subaru WRX as much as I can.
Hemi Head 68, the great starter motor sound followed by smiles. So
yeah,
Jamie.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if we vibe at the same level here, right?
Okay.
The most heartwarming, one of the most heartwarming sounds, right, that I know, that I can identify from like miles away, right, is the sound of a manual transmission, 3 or 4 speed, gear reduction starter in a B-body.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the sound I'm talking about?
Well, I think so.
It's different than it is on an automatic.
Those starters look the same, but aren't, right?
They are the same. No, the starters are the same.
It's just the dimensions of what it's turning over change the tone, is what you're saying.
The steel flywheel,
mm-hmm.
Okay, being turned by that gear reduction starter,
mm-hmm.
the way that sound resonates through the bell housing and off of the uninsulated frame rails, that unibody section, it has a completely different sound than an automatic of the same version.
I can't say I've noticed that distinction. So I guess we're not quite on the same level.
Now that I pointed this out to you,
now I'm going to be listening for it.
Start a 4-speed car, right? And
yesterday, yesterday. Jesus, this week's gone weird. Yesterday we first fired a 444-speed Superbird.
You sent me pictures of the motor. There was a lot of weird there.
Dude, we had 3 days, and so it's the wrong accessories, wrong pulleys. We got together the right plug holders, right thermostat housing. It's the right intake, the date code original exhaust manifolds, but goofy carb. Like, it was a running motor out of a 69 RT Charger. And we're like, let's just run it. We got some of the details right. I insisted on putting the right valve covers on it, but there's a lot that's wrong with it. It's just, we were determined to get it running in the 3 days we had and do burnouts, which we did. So I feel good about that. That video's coming tomorrow.
Nobody drag races here? Dude, drag racing is
what were we
dangerous.
Just talking about?
Only crazy people get involved in something like that.
That's true. No. You'd have to be a psycho to.
Sorry, nobody here gets involved in drag racing.
Yeah.
That's nutty stuff. I'm not a
Moondog, no. 4-cylinder Fox bodies were also rear-wheel drive. And did you know there were turbo ones?
Wait. Andrew Button, you know the sound, right, Andrew? Am I okay? The sound is not as muffled with a bell housing. I think the 727 is a sound absorption device. Yes, exactly right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's a completely different sound. And it's specifically, you really hear with the 69, 7, third generation or 68 to 70 B bodies is where it's the most distinct. Then you pick it up also somewhat in the 70, 71 cars, but it is a very, very distinct sound. I could tell car starting up right before the motor even lights if it's an automatic or a 4-speed.
I was super good on that. When we had the shop, I could always tell the different manufacturer starters and any diesel going by. Don't even ask. I love the Cummins. It's not like I'm a hardcore diesel guy or anything, but I know every one of the diesel pickups by sound. IDI, Power Stroke, 6-liter Power Stroke.
So the keys, right? I could always tell. So remember, I was a mechanic in the 70s. So I worked on like everything all the time. Okay, like 4, 5, 6, 7 cars a day or whatever it happened to be. So I had experience with every single thing you can imagine from that era, right? And the differences in ignition lock cylinders, like especially the dashboard mounted ones, but it extended to the steering columns also. General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler had 3 distinctly different feels to their ignition lock cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow or another, that same feel extended from when they went from the dash mounted to the steering column mounted. It's the same thing, right? Chryslers are always very direct. There's never there's no slop to it or anything like that, right? They have a certain amount of, there's a certain distance that it's turned, right? General Motors is more efficient, right?
Now that
Smoother
you're
and more
saying
efficient.
that,
In
I'm
Ford,
thinking
you always
back.
have to turn it too far.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's on the steering column or if it's on the steering column or if it's on a dashboard. You always have to turn the Ford too hard to get it, too far, I should say, to get it to start.
I'm thinking back to GM dash ignitions. Now that you're saying that, never thought
Very
about
precise.
that before.
Click,
Yeah.
click, click. Right? Very precise.
Oh, I saw a comment. Where'd it go? Oh yeah, the Mustang SVO, overlooked legend. Yeah, that's the turbo 4-cylinder Mustang. It's the SVO, and it's got that offset hood thing, and it's a turbo Pinto motor, or 2.3 version of that, 2300, which was also in the Turbo Thunderbirds and the Merkur XR4 Ti, and in Ranger pickups.
AMC key, there was no single AMC key. AMC used all of the different lock cylinders in
They
different.
were often GM, right?
Yeah, often GM.
I was just thinking about many Jeeps that are GM. Jeeps as well, I should say.
Who just said that here? 104 Speed Shop says Dodge trucks have that sound too with the MP435.
Torque converter equals fluid damper. Ever heard of it? Indeed.
Larry Keller saying this. My son's first pass was a 720 and a 2010 Nissan Altima, 82 miles an hour.
17.2.
17.2.
Wow.
Wow. What a. Okay. Well, the sickness is there. Now he's got to get a 17.1 out of it.
Larry Keller, my first time was an 8th mile, of course, and it was 9:30 or something. 9:31.
Mine was a 6. Go ahead.
Oh, the fastest I ran with the Demon in its old configuration before I changed the motor and did stuff to it. The way I got it was a 9:13 8th mile pass. Fastest it ever went.
My first was a 1604. And it was in a 304 Javelin that belonged to a friend named Nicky the Retard. And that was the first car I ever installed headers on.
Oh, make a video about the starter sounds.
We could. They're very, again, you see, like a lot of guys who and I guess you would probably be included in them, but you have far more exposure than most people. If you go back to the era of that these cars were common when they were all over the place, like I said, I was a mechanic in the 70s.
Right.
So you worked on all of them, and they all had very distinct, it was almost like a corporate language. When you opened the door to a Ford, didn't matter what make of Ford it was, or what model of Ford it was, they all had a very distinct Ford feel, right? The door buttons, right? There was a corporate language that went to each of these cars that people these tiny nuances that to us old timers, like we pick right up on them. Most people who aren't familiar with them or only have limited exposure to these older cars don't really get it. But there was so much more to the car's identity than just the nameplate or the trim or the option package that was in there. Right. It was like a Mopar product, Chrysler product always felt like a Chrysler product in every way. Yeah. You could close your eyes.
Every old car is the same. They weren't.
No.
You know the big one to me? The smell of the interior.
Yes, very different, and I can smell them right now.
Blindfold me and put me in any of the big three's old cars. I can tell you which one it is.
I can smell them right now. Yep. I can't describe them, but I can smell the differences between them.
Oh yeah, and you were talking earlier about Mopars, around 1960. Well, that's around the time the interior smell changed because there's a 50s Chrysler product smell that is distinct. It is.
That's
not
because
the
they stuff those seats with mohair.
Yep.
And you get the mohair smell.
The mohair smell. Yep. And the baby poop smell coming out of the disintegrating steering wheels. That's
yes. Yeah, you know it, right?
I know it. It's distinct. I'm picturing the interior of a mid 70s Ford pickup. I know exactly what that smells like.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's so much to it, and I guess it's all of those little things that add up when you're a freak for a certain brand, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yep.
throttle linkages are different too.
Yep.
Not just the linkage itself, but the ratios, the pedal ratios are different, which a lot of people don't realize.
Right. No, not the rubbery steering wheels. No, those are horrible too. But no, I'm talking about in the 50s, you get the whatever that material is. It's plasticky stuff, but it's not plastic.
Yeah.
When that stuff cracks, you get this like baby poop smell that emanates out of it. That's the best I can describe it for you. When you smell it, you'll know.
ET Enterprises is saying the smell and the locks and gauges of trim always take me back. For me, it's GM stuff, and I'm immediately taken back to high school with every G body because I had a fleet of them. I know the G body. I've probably worked on more G bodies than I have Mopars. Because back in the day, like I said, I was a mechanic, and I also bought and sold cars all the time. I was always flipping cars, and I always worked with dealers. So during the 1980s, and into the early 1990s. There was a constant stream of G bodies through my fucking world, constantly, always. I had the engine swap. I had the V6 engine swap, right? The 231s before they finally fixed that issue.
The Odd Fire?
Yeah, I had that down to 4 hours from the time you stop the car and open the hood to the time you shut the car, start it, and drive it away. 4 hours flat for an engine swap on those.
I've never had to put an engine in a G body ever. A bunch of people said Bakelite, however the heck you say that, and that's not quite the material I mean. No. Someone said lucite. Maybe that's
lucite.
It, but I don't. That sounds
lucite.
Right. Yeah.
No, wait, no. It's not lucite. Lucite is what they made the clusters out of, like the dome. The dome, man.
Yeah. Oh, the dome, the Astrodome.
The Astrodome
with panelescent lighting.
Oh, I love that shit.
It's good stuff.
And they're not quite round, but not quite, just the oblong steering wheel.
Steering wheels. Yeah.
Have you ever watched the Charles Phoenix stuff?
No.
Dude, do yourself a favor, right? There's a guy named Charles Phoenix. So this guy he's the gayest of the gay, like he's the leader of the gays. Okay, this is over the top.
Okay.
But he loves cars. He loves these cars from the 50s or early 60s.
That is a very fabulous shirt.
Oh, it's fabulous stuff, right? This guy, when he starts to describe these cars, and he does a lot of Mopar stuff, he's like a Mopar freak.
58 Coronet 2 weeks ago.
Forward look cars. Yeah.
Nice.
You got to watch some of his videos. They're fantastic. And he picks up on a lot of the things that we're talking about right now.
Awesome. I'll check him out. He's so fabulous.
He's beyond fabulous. He's great. He's great. I binge watch his stuff every once in a while.
Nice. You have a WRX. No, I have a Legacy GT I just got. That's an automatic. Yeah, 06 Legacy GT. My buddy Byron, he's in some of my videos. He's like one of the very few people I can rely on to like come help when I need that. He helped me put the 360 in the Demon so we could go racing last year. Anyway, he had this Legacy GT for years and just beat the crap out of it. And it's got all the Racer Boy hot rod parts on it. And someone tried to steal it, so he made me a hell of a deal on it. So I have a Turbo Subaru again. But anyway, I really only got it to prove a point.
I do like those cars.
Yeah, they're fun. There's something endearing and just incredible about making that kind of power out of a little tiny aluminum bread box this big, And you were talking about fast engine swaps. WRX swap, not far off of what I wasn't the WRX engine guy, Subaru engine guy at my shop. We had a couple of those, and dude, those things are no time at all. Just boop, boop. So easy.
SC308. When my dad ordered a 72 Duster with a 225, he tried hard to get a 4-speed with it, but they absolutely would not do it unless he got a 340.
They just didn't want to order him a car. That's
Yeah,
all
they
it
just didn't
is.
want to order a
They
car
just didn't
because
want to. Yeah.
it absolutely could have been ordered with a 4-speed.
Yeah. Dude, my
4-speed
demon.
4-speed fitment in those cars was kind of like, there's a guy running around that had been running around here, Middle Tennessee, with an original, right? And this is something I'd never seen before, right? It is a 70 CUDA, 7 Barracuda, 225/6, pistol grip 4-speed with a 7 1/4 rear. Have you ever seen an e-body with a 7 1/4 rear?
No, but I've never seen one that wasn't a 340 car or better. I've never been around one that.
No, not a CUDA, a Barracuda.
No, that's why I think I've only ever seen one Barracuda in my entire life, e-body Barracuda, and that one had an 8 3/4. It was a 318 car, but it was 8 3/4.
No, this was
I've never
factory
seen that.
original car. Like, and I looked it over. I'm like, no, somebody had to swap this thing in here.
Mhm.
But no, it's an original piece.
Well,
The widest 7 1/4 you've
yeah,
ever
the
seen in
e-body
your life.
axle is so wide. Like, how
Yep.
would you? That's yeah.
And it was a pistol grip 4-speed.
Wow. I was trying to think about that because that seems interesting too, having a pistol grip with a slant, but that would have been the only 4-speed shifter, right?
That's the only 4-speed shifter from 70 to
Yeah.
74.
So that's what you got. Nice.
That's another one of my pet peeves. When people use the wrong pistol grip in the wrong body, or a pistol grip in an A body. No!
People kept telling me to put one in the Demon, and I'm not going to do that. But if I did, it would be that late B-body bench seat one, you know, because as you pointed out, they do fit very well. Many, many people have done that, but it's not what I want, not for serious driving. Like, yeah, it's a big piece of bling or whatever, but that doesn't belong there. I put an E-body one in an A-body once. Don't do that. It's almost undrivable. You can't. It's down.
Yeah,
it's down here. It's
right.
so bad.
First and third are like you're pointing literally at the ground.
You can't read the jewel because even in, you know, second and fourth, it's like not quite vertical. And
Well,
yeah.
you can use an early A-body, a 64 through 66 A-body shifter mount on that, and it orients it back a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's still
not,
wrong. It's still bad,
yeah.
and it doesn't belong in it. Just does not belong in there.
Right.
An A-body needs to have a ball.
Yeah. Many people have told me to put the ball back on mine. I've got the Hurst T, and I've been told that the ball might be easier to not miss third with.
I
Many
disagree.
people
The T
said
works
that.
good.
Well, that's what Dale always ran, but I thought about trying it. My 70 Swinger had a ball.
Wheelie King is saying, I think I'm the only Mopar guy on the planet that does not like the pistol grip.
I like the pistol grip in a 1970 console shifted B body because it is the single coolest thing on earth.
It's absurd.
And we just installed the original one back in this Superbird. We didn't put the console in because, you know, we just kind of needed it to work. But, God, it's just so cool. It's pointlessly huge, but it's so cool. Just so cool. I just love it. It's ridiculous, but it belongs in there. So,
but that's one of those things that's like an iceberg too, because there's so much of that shifter that you can't see because it has to come up, over, up, back. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's incredible. It's terrible, but it's also awesome.
Imagine the punishment inside the transmission from all the leverage.
Dunk. There's so much weight. Yeah, it's great.
The inland, somebody mentioned inland shifters. They
like the looks of them. Okay.
He's saying the ball is so much more ergonomically friendly.
I find T-handle ergonomic. That's comfortable in the hand.
The pistol grip, I guess, is an acquired taste. I was split. I had I was talking about that Hemi Challenger I used to drive for the guy. So this car was stupid. I've talked about this car before. It was a green 70 Hemi Challenger. And in 1432s, 557s, it had Pierman Saw had done the motor. It was like a full tilt super stock motor. The car was like ridiculously fast for what it was in its day, right? And back during that period of time in New York, the difference between a race car and a street car was any addition to the frame. So if you put frame connectors in this thing, somebody looks underneath it, like, no, that's a race car. So the car had to be original, right? In other words, any addition to the car makes it a race car. If the car has all the original, chassis and everything in place, then it's a street car. So this thing didn't even have frame connectors in it. It was insane. A 4-speed car. One seat in the car just had one of the stock seats. The rest of it was gutted, and it had a pistol grip shifter in it. So this is where I learned to appreciate the pistol grip shifter. We had the only way to drive this car. I got to back up so you can see this now, right? So what you do is you do your burnout, right? Pull up where you're going to run, right? You grab the steering wheel like this, okay? It's obviously manual steering car, full-size steering wheel. You grab the steering wheel like this. You grab the shifter, okay? You have to hold on to the shifter. 6,500, sidestep the clutch. As soon as the clutch hits, you throw the steering wheel all this way and grab the shifter and pull it back, right? As soon as it lands in second, you start steering back the other way like this. When your hand gets down here, you go for third, right? Now, the only way, this car was like a bucket Bronco. It twisted, the windshield was busted.
Yeah.
We all cracked in the corner. Most of the time, I couldn't get out of the driver's side door. I'd have to get out of the passenger side door because the thing would just, the floor of the car looked like, after we had run this thing for a summer, right? The floor of the car looked like aluminum foil that you roll up into a ball and then straighten it back out again.
Yeah.
There were so many wrinkles and cracks all through the unit body of this car. But the only way I was able to drive that car was the pistol grip. And I had a leather glove, and we had sprayed it with rosin and stuff like that. And the handle on the pistol grip shifter was covered with double-sided tape. So that shifter was the only way I was able to stay planted in this car and do all of the gymnastics driving it to try to go in a straight line. And it never went in a straight line. You had to always run that car wide to the right. Like you'd stage it all the way to the right, because as you were steering away this way, the car it went down the track or down the street like a bowling ball. You ever see somebody throw a bowling ball and it goes right for the gutter and then it curves around and comes back? That's how that car went down. But that pistol grip shifter, before that, I didn't really think much of them. And then after that, it was like, yes,
all right,
that's my friend. That's my friend, the pistol grip.
Multiple people are talking about Subaru spark plugs in the comments, which is a sore subject because I've been putting off doing the plugs in my wife's Outback for 4 years now, and it's got 165,000 miles, and they've either been done once or never. Don't want to talk about it. They're not actually that hard to do. Even though they're over here, they're not that hard to do.
Was it much harder than a Carmen Ghia?
I've never done them in a Carmen Ghia. I've done them in a Beetle, which I assume is a similar animal.
No, the Carmen Ghia.
Yeah,
the front plug, driver's side of a Carmen Ghia is nearly impossible to get to. You need an extra articulation in your wrist. They're bad. They're really bad.
Yeah, I've never had to do that. They say to change plugs every 30K miles. Not in a 2013 Outback. They're Iridium plugs. They're probably 90 or 100,000 mile plugs. I've had new ones sitting in my toolbox for 6 months.
Let's see. Yeah, 50-year-old dirt bike guy. Here goes everything. Dude, I'm going to do a video. I want to talk about it now, but that China bike that I bought, it's no good. It's no good. The bike works well. The engine
We're so
runs
excited.
great. Yeah, but the ergos on it it's unrideable, right? Because you've either got to sit, right, or you've got to stand. There's no in between. You're riding a dirt bike, okay, and you're keeping your weight just lightly balanced on the seat, you're not fully committed to a seating position, and you're not fully committed to standing, and your knees will hug the tank, and you just do your thing, okay. Well, on that bike, you can either sit or you could stand, and there's like no in between. Or the ergos are horrible on the dirt. So I'm actually going to do a video on that.
It was easier to pull the Karmann Ghia engine than change the spark plugs. I believe that.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Nice. Oh, Keith Calitri's here. He was just sending me pictures today. So he's been watching my videos, your videos, and Joe's videos for quite some time. And he found his dream, which is a Challenger. It's a 72, so it's a frowny face, but it's a sweet deal. And he only sent me a few pictures. It's in pieces. It's got to be put back together, but the price is right, and it looks super solid.
Nice.
I mean, it's a rally car. I don't think it has the 340, but it was a 340 car. Anyway, it's pretty cool. So yeah, welcome to the dark side. We have cookies.
I just saw something, and I am going to run into the garage for a second. Okay, so I'm gonna click on this. Okay, and you keep everybody going for a second. I'll be right back. All
right. Boomer wants to know if I have ever changed the plugs in a V8 Monza. No, in fact, I've never even stood next to a V8 Monza. Figure that one out.
I gotta get something from the garage.
Oh, you can still hear him when he's very far away. That's exciting. Savage CEO asked Tony if a 5.9 will fit in a 79 LeBaron without moving the motor mounts. What the heck is a Lebanon? If a 318 is there, a 5.9 will fit there with very little effort. Yeah. Richard Scott, good job explaining the with and without spark plug rings. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yes. Yeah, Tony's covered that in a video as well. But yeah, if your engine has dual tubes, that's Hemi or early slant sixes before the mid 70s, where they have the tubes, no washers on your spark plugs. You have to cut them off. Yeah, I did that in my video today. I've shown it before in a Hemi tune-up video as well. But that's important. If you've got a dual tube, no spark plug washer. They'll chew each other to bits. Yeah.
It's gone. I gave it to somebody who had an S10. Boomer, talking about the changing the plugs in V8 Monza. I had a socket. I gave it to somebody I met recently that had an S10 because the S10 has the same problem. But I had a spark plug socket that I made specifically to do the plugs in a V8 Monza, where I cut down a spark plug socket and then cut down the swivel socket, and I welded it in just a certain way, just a certain position that you can get it on the plug, make half a turn, then reposition it, make another half a turn, and then you'll be able to pull it out by finger. So I actually made a spark plug socket for that, but it also works on a V6 S10 for the spark plug for the one that's closest to the steering column. You know what I'm talking about, right?
See, that I've done. That and how about Astro Vans? There you go.
Yeah. That's going to a different place entirely.
Yeah. But Blazer, I've never done a V8 Monza, but if it's similar to S10 and S10 Blazer, I've done plenty of those, and I hate them. Someone asked what I'm drinking. If you hang out in my lives, you know I'm a cider guy. I live in Washington. This is like the Apple State or whatever, so it's just kind of the right thing to do. This one's a Marionberry, but I've tried like all of them.
IB Thunder. I wrote an article. I Miss Hurst circa 1970. Never published. She had to sign off on it. She claimed that it took too many pics. Really? And I got to know Linda a little bit, but Nikki Phillips was the girl.
Oh, okay.
Was
Miss Hurst in 1970?
No. Well, Linda was Miss Hurst in 1970.
Okay.
But Nikki Phillips was she was an Australian girl.
Oh.
And she put Linda to shame, man. Oh, what a difference.
Do you know anything about the 1970 Hurst car?
The Chrysler?
Yeah. You know
Sure.
anything about it?
What about it?
Well, there's only one, the convertible. And people say it's fake, but it's real. The convertible Chrysler Hearst for 1970. The one that Linda Vaughn, they had the platform on the trunk and everything.
Yeah.
I know who owns it.
Really?
I know where it is. I work with the guy.
No fooling.
You can find him on the internet. It's not a giant secret or anything, but yeah, Yeah.
Can you get in there and get pictures of it?
I haven't ever seen it. It's at his house. He lives in Seattle and commutes, and so I've never gotten to see it yet. But yeah, he owns it. He had it at McCacken Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals 2018 or 19, somewhere around there. There's a video of him with it on the internet.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what happened because I know that they built the one Hemi car.
I don't know anything about that. I've heard a rumor of it, but yeah, I don't know.
I've heard, well, I've never actually seen it, but I've heard enough people tell me about it over the years. And I've seen enough pictures over the years. I mean, there was definitely a 426 Hemi installed in one of those cars. Obviously, there's no hardware to accomplish that. It's completely different cage frame.
It doesn't exist. Yeah.
So, but evidently somebody at Hearst fabbed up the frame, the frame brackets, welded them and bolted a 426 Hemi in there, and there was one produced. I don't think it has any special numbers on it. In that it was completely one off.
It was just right. It was just a car that they did that to. Yeah. Miss Hearst Golden Shifter.
Yes.
Oh, he knows where the shifter platform that was on the trunk.
He knows
where it is. It's in a museum, I think, and they will not part with it. It is not available. Yeah. Oh, and Cody Hollinger had it. Yep. I'm in the Northwest, so that's what you do. Yeah.
Have you ever driven any model of Pantera? I drove a Pantera in and out of a shop probably a dozen times, and that was it. That was it. I didn't even work on it. It wasn't a car I was working on. I was working on a fuel car, and they owned a Pantera, and the Pantera shared space with the shop. So often I'd need to move things around or whatever, and the Pantera had to go outside. I never drove it past the shop door.
Wow. Someone asked about a 69 CUDA resto mod, but I don't. That was right, brother. I don't know what car you're talking about. There have been a lot of cars.
Ryman Cable. I drove my buddy's old 69 Charger Daytona. It was fun and fast. I did the world's only drag test.
Oh yeah.
On a 69 Hemi Daytona. Let me have that. Have you ever seen it?
Haven't, no, but I've heard you talk about it.
Keep him busy for a second. I may have one right here.
I'll keep him busy. So I did a video on my channel. It's been a year and a half or so, but I got to drive a 69 Daytona. It's kind of a survivor. It was restored in the 80s, 90s, and so it's not perfect, but it hasn't been painted since then. So it's got spider webbing, it's got scratches, it's got dings. It's awesome, but it's been mechanically restored and everything. Anyway, I did a video driving that, and it was cool, but you're driving around $250,000, so that kind of puts a damper on things. Yesterday I did burnouts in this. So I don't know. There are my Mopar credentials, I guess. I'm gonna do a video on my channel on that tomorrow.
Oh wait, maybe here. I'm looking. Hang on.
Rich B1. Yes, that car was the C body that we were talking about. Yes. Yep. ET Enterprises. I saw the first episode of Portlandia, but I never saw that one. It was Fred Armisen's a genius. That was a good one.
I don't have it here. It was the first issue of Mopar Action magazine. It's on the cover.
Mopar
These were
Action Daytona drag test.
These were the first couple.
Well, here it is. Oh, you did a video on it.
Did I do a video on it?
December 28th, 2023. Yes, the first and only drag test of a 69.
Yeah. I forgot I did that. Yes. So this was a friend of mine. This was John Friel, and I took a ride in that car. Nice. He stood the thing up. That was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So this was let's see. This was one of the first issues of High Performance Mopar. Or yeah. Oh God, I forgot about all this stuff. Hang on now. Hang on. Memory lane.
It's so funny. You go to Google search things, right? This has happened to me a lot. Trying to. Oh, I know whose car that is. Nice. You go to try and search something, and all that comes up are pictures from your own videos.
So this was one that I found in Maryland. This was a factory Hemi Superstock Superbird.
Wow.
And that's the picture of how we found it.
I'm glad to see the hood doesn't match. It doesn't line up with the nose cone.
So
Apparently, that's a common issue.
we dug the car out of there, started it for the first time in however many years it was sitting, and I got to hammer that thing out on the street in front of the shop that we found it at.
Nice.
But he swears that it was he swears. Okay, so I wrote this article. This was 1980. Doesn't even say the years on these things. Just says display until July 23rd. Yeah. So I guess it was probably 1987. Yeah, summer 87. We found that. And then this was one that people, oh, here. That's me spinning the tires on that thing.
Nice. Hey, I just did that yesterday. Speaking of which, Rocket Restorations, Rocket Tom is in the comments and said, "What's it like to drive a Superbird?" I don't know. I've only ever done 3 burnouts and driven it 100 feet.
I don't think I've ever driven a Superbird.
Yeah. Well,
I've driven Daytonas, a couple of Daytonas, but I've never driven a Superbird.
I've driven the one Daytona, and it's also orange. Every wing car I've had any involvement with was orange.
Have you ever seen one of these?
Well, that looks suspiciously like the Silver Bullet or whatever it's called, but it's gold. No, I guess not. Well, is that a 426? What am I looking at?
It's a 1967 426 Hemi Satellite.
Hemi Satellite. Yeah, okay. Never
They
been near
didn't
one.
build
No.
any of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
They didn't build one, but I found that one in North Carolina.
You had a good run on finding Hemi cars that weren't supposed to exist, like the 4-doors.
Yes, I found both of those. I'm the guy that found those cars.
I know.
And wait, because I think I mentioned it in this story. Okay. That I had heard rumors of these 2 4-door Hemi cars because they had put out the roster. Somebody had gotten their hands on the original Chrysler roster of all the Hemi cars they built with the breakdown. Mm-hmm. And it said there were 2 426 Hemi 4-door Coronets, 66 Coronets. And I think someplace in this story I mentioned that, and that I'd love to find those cars because we found this one of none, completely all original, completely, unmolested 67 Hemi Satellite that never existed. And I mentioned the Coronets in here, and then this magazine came out, and like a week after it came out, I get these an envelope with Polaroids in the mail that shows both the red and the white 426 Hemi Coronets in Wichita, Kansas.
Wow.
So I found those cars too through this one.
That's incredible. Oh, hey, Robert Fitch is here. How's it going, Robert? He says, "I wish I knew about this an hour and a half ago." Well, I did make a post, but
okay. You know Tony D'Agostino?
Yeah.
Tony's Mopars?
Yep, Tony's Moparts.
That's me and him. Circa 1986, 1987.
Nice. That's awesome.
And that was his original Sox and Martin drag racing deal. The what they call it? Shutdown. It was an Aurora, slot car setup, but it was marketed as Shutdown, and it was the Sox and Martin cars.
Oh, I just found one. Nice. It's a blue and a red Roadrunner.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice. Oh, sold for $300 on eBay years ago.
Here's
that's cool.
That's the box art from it.
Nice. That's awesome.
How can you not love that era, man? How can anybody not love that era?
That reminds me, it's not slot cars. Did you know there's a Plymouth drag race board game? It's like some dealer promo thing. And Tom has it, and we're going to play it for a video. We've been talking about this for 2 years, and we haven't done it. But he has it in the box. Yeah. It's awesome.
Very nice.
Oh yeah. Someone asked if you fit in a Pantera.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, back then I was like 160 pounds. I've grown a little bit since then. You're talking about 1990, so that was jeez. Now that car that I built, that fuel car, ended up. So, one deal turned into another deal, turned into another deal, turned into another deal. It was all that kind of chaos. But that car ended up out of my hands, but in the same setup that we had it. And Mark Oswald had the NHRA mile an hour record in 1991 with that car. The way we had put it together,
Wow.
It was just one of those things.
Larry Smith. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just looking through these magazines. I don't want you guys to think
You're going down memory lane now. You never do that. Larry Smith asked what year they stopped putting 440s in trucks. 1978 is the last year for the big block across the board. But well, it's the last year for production. But they were still around like into the early 80s in some applications. You can find them in RVs as late as like 81. So trucks, what, 79? I mean, until they were gone, basically. But I don't know officially like when the last one was built.
I lied. I did drive a Superbird.
Oh.
All right. I mean, going through these, these are magazines I literally haven't thumbed through. God, since it came out, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen these pages or these pictures since these magazines came out back in 1987. Oh, here we go. The two 4-door Hemi cars.
Yeah, yeah.
The white one is in Garlitz's museum, and the red one belonged to a guy named Bill DiGilio. And then two more popped up, one in Canada and one in Finland.
Yeah.
And the one in Finland is a Plymouth.
You did a video on the white one, right? In the museum.
At the Garlitz Museum, yeah.
Yep. Tim, did you see I did a video on an 85 LeBaron GTS?
No.
I revived a LeBaron, which is an H body. It's not a K car. It's an H. It's an extended K. It's the same stuff, but people hate when you say that. Anyway, Tim Bullis said, I was surprised to find myself looking back fondly on the LeBaron GTS. Lots of people do, and it's interesting.
Somebody asked me if I signed my name to, or if my name was on every article that I wrote, and this is the perfect example of what I was talking about. So this is one that I did with Dick Landy, and you see there's no writer's byline, just photos by Stephen Parker. But that was the Ballstud Hemi, the way Landy had found it.
You showed that one in the video. You did.
Yeah, they took my name off of a lot of stuff. Oh God, memories. This was an ad that we did, like a, promotional ad. So it's me in the Hawaiian shirt, Cliff Gromer, and the guy dressed like Mr. Spock with the wrench there. That's Jim Kosks, and that's the Death Lizard SS. It was a Pontiac Le Mans project car.
Wow. Oh, Robert Fitch answering the Mopar guy question. Why are we so screwed up? It's the ballast resistor.
Yes, those windings. So it's a ceramic. It affects our pineal gland, and it's like, oh, forget about it. I saw a super chat. I went by the super chat.
Bill McKiska. Can we hear y'all's opinions on the Dodge
Diamante?
Isn't that Diamante?
Yeah.
I don't even remember what that is. So hang on.
It was a show car.
Is that? Is that?
It was.
Yeah. It's Challenger based, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And it went through a couple phases, didn't it? Weren't there different versions of that car? Because it's been restored now. I'm looking at it. It was orange at one time. The taillights on it are the 72 taillights.
Yeah, I'm picturing it.
I've read
Oh,
about this car, but I can't remember the details. But yeah, it's an E-body with like funky quarter panels that look a lot like a Mustang, the early 70s Go Fast Mustang. And it's got the sloped hood and weird
Yeah, it
headlight
has
arrangement.
the wedge to the front.
Yeah.
It's
I've never
somewhere
seen it with a roof, but apparently it had a removable roof. I've only ever seen it like
somewhere
that.
in the back of my head, there is some kind of trivia about that car, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was.
You want to say hi to everybody?
Hey, how are you?
Daughter Ava. How are you? She's good. She always wanders into my lives, says several words, and then leaves.
Let's see here.
Oh, Shutdown was a Plymouth dealership toy giveaway.
Yes.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, that was me and Tony D'Agostino playing with it when we were kids.
Yeah, that one Tom has is a board game. It's I think it says Plymouth Drag Race on the box, but I've learned about the Diamante at some point, but I remember nothing about it. But I'm pretty sure it went through a couple different iterations, and it was called something else before that or after that, and then it was restored to that. I can't remember.
So, Wright Brothers, why did they not just make the ball stud Hemi and make it the V8 lineup? That was the
money.
That was the whole
plan.
plan. That was the idea was to merge the Hemi and the wedge into one engine, ball stud. And if I'm not mistaken, it was emissions getting the thing through because that was brand new for emissions testing.
Right.
And there was like something that had to be done with it that just like broke the budget as far as Chrysler was concerned, and they dropped the whole thing.
This is the game I'm talking about. Plymouth Drag Race game. Look at that. It's just
Oh,
a
that's
board
cool.
game. Yeah. Yeah. So he has that. We're going to play it for a video someday. It's been on the list for a long time. Not as exciting as the slot cars, but it's still so funky and neat.
I don't think the slot cars worked very well.
I bet they didn't. That's not the point. Mopar Action magazine calls the Diamante show car the most valuable Mopar on the planet. I'll be damned.
I think they just stopped publishing that actually.
It wasn't okay. It was originally built as the Yellow Jacket.
Wait a minute.
And it was orange. And so it was later. Wait, hold on. Wait a second. Maybe that was later. I don't even know. Yeah. Dodge Yellow Jacket concept. There it is. Yeah. Super early. Oh, that's tiny, dang it. But anyway, yeah, the Diamante was originally the Yellow Jacket and it had a conventional grille. Look at that. What am I looking at here?
The Chrysler Imperialist.
Oh, the Imperialist.
Have you ever seen that one?
No.
Because we made that up.
Perfect.
We had the girls in the art department piece together a few different cars and come up with that. And that was the new for 1988 Chrysler Imperialist. And it had
You'll be sad to hear I can't find that online.
At a 426 cubic inch Hemi V8's 2,000 horsepower front wheel drive, silky smooth warp plate transmission, turbocharging, supercharging, fuel injection, all this in economy too. That's the Imperialist.
Wow. It didn't rule with an iron fist or anything?
You can expect advanced technology from Chrysler, and you get it. No car maker has ever afforded 4 engines in one car before. They said it couldn't be done. They said it shouldn't be done. But Chrysler did it anyway. With computer technology and a revolutionary breakthrough, we invented and patented the exclusive tandem radial vortex pinion bend crankshaft. Only an Imperialist for 88.
Jesus.
Yeah. We did a lot of crazy shit like that.
Who was I can't remember his name. The guy, you used his picture for a column. You were talking about it in a live. Tim.
Techman Tim.
Techman Tim. Yeah. I did find his picture online once.
Jeez, that was in Cars Illustrated. So the thing what happened with that was all of the magazines had. Okay, so we had a what the hell was he? Joe Oldham from Popular Mechanics. Okay, and
Okay.
people know Joe Oldham from he did a book called Muscle Car Confidential. He did road tests. He worked for Cars Magazine back in 1968, 69, 70, right? Joe Oldham, I'm sure a lot of you guys know his name. Me and Oldham did not get along. I mean, like at all. But I had to deal with him because he was a publisher's consultant, and he had to deal with me because I was the only person that could bang out material when I was banging it out. So we butted heads, but so Oldham he demanded that we have a technical question and answer column because all of these other magazines had technical question and answer columns. So I says, we don't get anybody asking us tech questions. So he says, make it up. I'm like, I don't want to do that, man. I'm not going to just make up stuff. So basically, this was like a directive now. Okay, if I wanted to keep getting paid from these people, because at that point I had quit and was a staff freelancer, but I had to play their games. So we have a party over at the art director's house. This guy was Morgan Smith, his name was. So we have a party over at his house. It was like the whole magazine staff. All of the art people were there. Everybody was there, right? And we got destroyed. I mean, this was just like over the top. Okay, so the party breaks up. We were watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail, right? And we watched it like twice. And the drugs hit just as like Tim the Enchanter, right? There are those who call me Tim. that burned itself in my consciousness. It was crazy, right? So somehow or another, I drove from Morgan's place to the office, and it was still dark out. It was probably like 4:30 in the morning, and I was like, okay, Oldham wants a tech question and answer. Great. He's got a new tech guy. His name is Tim. So I wrote all of these crazy friggin' things, right? Yeah. And the rest of the staff comes in the morning. Everybody's all hungover and shit like that. I'm done now for the day. I did my work. I hand it to the girl in the art department. And he says, okay, here's the column that Oldham wanted. So she says, all right, well, we need a picture. I says, right. I don't have a picture. She said, so I looked down and there was a card. There was a guy from IBM had dropped off their card because this is before computers. We were doing stuff on electric typewriters. Yeah. And this computer salesman dropped off his card and it had his picture on it. And he says, here, use this one. So she says, we can't use this guy's picture. I says, make him different. Do something with him. Like, give him hair, change his hair, and then put question marks all around his head. Tim the question guy. So that's where Tim, that was the origin of Tim.
Wow. That's so good. In Cars Illustrated, was the reader questions section in this magazine similar? Because reading through some of this, at least the responses are very much tongue-in-cheek, I guess, let's say.
Cars Illustrated was unique in that it developed an instant cult following. Like literally, we put the first issue sucked. There was nobody home, right? The second issue was okay. By the time the third issue came out, it had really become a way different magazine. Okay, and the thing about that magazine is that there's something everywhere. Okay, there's a catch, there's a gotcha everywhere in that magazine. It could be in a caption. It could be on the contents page. It could be someplace in the copy. There's always something weird there, right? And so it became a cult magazine almost instantly. So we started getting mail, and magazines just really don't get mail. Everything you read in a magazine from the mail was just stuff that the writers made up. Right. Cars Illustrated actually got mail, and there was one that was just over the top. It was freaking great. I think it's in that magazine. It was called Young Enthusiast.
I don't see anything with that heading.
Are you sure?
Nope.
In
Oh,
the
yeah,
letters
yeah,
section.
yeah.
You
there
got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your daughter out of the room?
Yeah.
Read it.
Yes. All right.
This is the mail we used to get at Cars Illustrated magazine.
Young enthusiast. My name is Brian Scafani. I'm 15 years old, and someday I want to have a fast car. My favorites are old Camaros from the 60s with big rat motors like I see in your magazine sometimes. Since I am too young to own a car of my own, I like to draw pictures and sometimes write poems about these cars. I hope that the one I sent you is good enough to be printed. I know it sounds like a lot, but someday I hope to write for magazines like yours. I call this Cruisin' with the Gas Mashed. There I was on cruise night, sitting in my machine so fine. Here we are at a red light. I'll wing my motor way past red line. See the guy with the Mopar, he's in the very next lane. I'd like to smash his head with my nitrous bottle and give him pain. The girls all like my wheels. They're scared because they think I'm nuts. I'd like to tie them to my seats and it's censored. Them in the something. I street race on the boulevard. I street race in the rain. When the police come to arrest me, I bribe them with cocaine. Brian Scafani, Bradenton, Florida.
That, in a nutshell, was Cars Illustrated magazine. That is the spirit and the essence of Cars Illustrated magazine. When the police come to arrest me, I bribe them with cocaine.
The one I liked is the next one. The response from the editor is, I won't read the whole thing, but the response was, how about if we chain Cliff to the bumper of our next test car? Is that enough emotion for you?
I think I probably wrote that.
I think you probably did.
Me and Cliff didn't get along either. We still don't. That was you, 72D28?
Apparently. Bradenton, Florida. A clue. Yes, where Cletus's track is.
We had so much fun with that stuff, bro. It was crazy. I miss those days. I wish I could get the YouTube version of that, but you can't. You really can't. It's like you have to be surrounded by the right people, and the right energy just has to happen, you know?
Yeah. I know what you mean. I'll bet that imperialist would conquer a lot of real estate.
We were studying yoga for reaction times and stuff like that. We figured there's this whole thing. It's like, okay, everybody's got this science and the whole thing.
Yeah.
We started. Me and Neil Van Opry started doing yoga. In fact, we did something. It ended up as being a goof thing called Zen and the Cosmic Christmas Tree. But we were serious about the whole concept of okay, let's figure out how to like detach from the universe and just focus on that space between the yellow and the green. You know what I mean? It was like yoga. I was like, we were out there. We were way out there.
Wow.
Were the Brunt brothers real? The Brunt brothers is Cliff Gromer.
Sounds like Dr. Seuss on Ether.
Anything that's got Brunt brothers on there, or oh god, he used a few different names, but the Brunt brothers was just Cliff Gromer. Do you know of the Dodge Dre car called the B-Lever? Yeah, it was 273. A 67 Dart 273 that they ran in.
It's on the internet. 60. Well, it's got a 68 grill in it.
E stock. Was it E stock or F stock?
This says Detroit B-Lever, and it says SS/EA.
Oh, okay.
Whatever that is.
All right. The original version of that was, I guess there were a couple of different incarnations of it.
Okay.
The one that I was thinking of was a 273 stick.
Don't stop believing.
Thumper, did I get along with John Perley Huffman? No, he was a what? Excuse my French, guys. No, I didn't get along with most magazines. So okay, so
Do you get
you
along
see
with
me,
anyone?
okay? You see me. This is me. This is me. This is me. And I've always been like this. Okay, and I'm definitely not. I don't. The typical magazine guy, like him, and so I never really got along with any of these people because they're not really car people. They're not really racers or anything like that. They went to school for journalism. They kind of like cars, and they ended up with these jobs at these magazines, and then they wing it from that point. You know what I mean? So now I think I worked with him briefly for a little. I mean, like maybe a story or two in whatever magazine he was doing at the time, and he's just a waste. There were a lot of guys like that.
Dada LeBreton, what is up?
What's happening, brother?
Thanks for dropping by briefly.
And his wife is waiting for him.
Yeah. Someone asked about the Mopar engine book. Well, I have this one. I got that one handy.
Oh yeah, they broke it up into engine then chassis.
Yep. I've got an actual, leaf printed Bible. Did I show you that when I was there? I had it with me. I don't think I did, but yeah. I have Dale's original copy.
I get them and then I give them away. I always come across somebody who's like, "Oh, I love that." Oh, here, take it.
Right. Well, the one I have, because it was, it belongs to and with the demon, so there it is.
Oh, well, that's different. That's different.
Yeah. But it's just, it's cool.
Yeah, Wally Booth. Yep, and the Hemi B. That was a super stock car. Right? It was super stock D, right? Let's see. I'm just running back through the comments.
69 Super B. There it is. Nice.
Yes, I did hear. I saw that. So I got blown off with that turbine car thing, right? Because I tried to contact him, and I ended up talking to somebody. I got the runaround, and I don't know why exactly, but they did give me the runaround on that car because I still want to know, right? What is that car's mechanical foundation? What is its unibody foundation? Because Gia did not, from scratch, build this car. They styled the car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they stamped the body panels. They styled the car. I want to know what those cars were actually made of, and the closest I could find to like clues is the destruction shots.
Mm.
Because you could see from certain angles, when they're lifting the car up to put it on a pile and everything, you could see rear suspension. You can kind of see where the bulkheads are, and I don't know if they were based on A bodies, B bodies, or a combination of the two.
I don't think there are any pictures of them upside down in this, but I'll look.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah, there's no like everybody talks about the motor, and the motor, yes, great, awesome, the motor, and but what about the rest of the mechanics on that car?
What is under it?
What is under it? What was it based off of?
I don't know. What the heck? I mean, I always figured it was about the size of a B body. Looking under the hood, it looks more C body than anything, but also the shots of under the hood are terrible, so you can't tell.
The shots of under the hood are terrible, and they had 8 3/4 rears for sure, but they're not sized like a B body. They're actually sized. If you look at like people sitting in them, your proportions more like an A body.
Yeah, there's very little front overhang, like almost none. Yeah, actually, that's like a tiny car.
Yeah. What control arms did they use on that? I really would like to. Either. I'd like to get inside one of those cars and find out what it was all. So I tried to contact Leno's garage. I got to run around with that. Then they sent me to they referred me to a shop that was actually doing the restoration work on it. And that guy was like, "No, I can't even get in there to look at it myself. We can't get pictures for you. We can't do anything like that." I'm like, "Okay, fine." And I let it drop. But I thought that would have been a really interesting
That cowl looks like nothing else. It doesn't look like any known Chrysler product. And you'd think if they started with a chassis and styled it, right? You'd expect to see the family resemblance in the cowl. I don't know.
Tony being from Staten Island, did ever spend time at the Summer Nationals? The other side sucks. The other side sucks. What do you think, man? I never missed the Summer Nationals from. I mean, that was like my whole world revolved around that. 1977, 78, 79, right up until I got involved in it myself, and then like going to the races really didn't make as much as being part of the races. But yeah, please, the 70s Summer Nationals were just the craziest, nuttiest freaking thing that ever happened. They were awesome. The other side sucks.
Huh. I did a random search and I found supposedly turbine car chassis diagrams that are all labeled in Russian.
It's weird, right? So
I found that. Camera sucks. And that,
okay.
I mean, it's a unibody, obviously. 8 3/4, yeah.
Yeah.
The leaf hanger looks different than I'm used to seeing. I don't know. It's the right type. Yeah, 63. It's the right type of 8 3/4. So I mean, I believe this, but that doesn't resemble anything I'm familiar with.
Now, if you ask me, if you're a car guy, that's actually far more interesting than the unique styling and the motor. Okay, so it's a turbine. Great, we got that. It's a turbine, right? This is obvious to everybody all the time. It's a turbine.
Sure.
What is the thing built out of? What is interchangeable with the other Chrysler products of the day? You know, if it was completely one-off, I want to know all about who designed who. Because there's a lot to building a car. You know, you don't just say, styling a car is one thing, and creating all of the stampings for the panels, that's another thing too. Major job.
Check this out.
Yeah.
There's a scale model, and it's really well detailed. Look at the front suspension. It looks nothing like anything I've ever seen, and that matches the diagram
coil
I just
spring.
saw. Yeah. It's
coil spring.
There's no bars.
This must be detailed because the torque flight is accurate.
Yeah. It is a torque flight. That's correct. And you can see the crazy exhaust system.
I've never seen that exhaust system. That's badass.
Yeah.
But it's got a coil spring front end. I guess they couldn't use torsion bars because of that exhaust. Wait, bring that back up again.
Yeah. Someday we'll get into the 23rd century where you can actually just share a picture on StreamYard.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
That is completely one-off.
Yeah, it is.
That floor stamping doesn't resemble anything.
No, there's sort of a vague family resemblance in some of the way it's stamped out, but it's unibody. It's coil spring.
Yeah, but if you look at it, right? If you take it back and look at it, there's no real bulkhead.
No rear bulkhead. No. Huh. That's interesting.
It looks like the hanger is just...
It's just there. That's what I was saying on that other diagram. Like, it makes no sense. It doesn't look like... Huh. Yeah, there's like a rear subframe assembly that's like bolted in almost.
Like a C-body front?
It has that too. It's got stub frames front and rear.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's got like suspension sub-assemblies that are bolted to that body.
Oh man, I would love to crawl around on one of those things. That's just fascinating.
That's very interesting. They did all that work. Why did they do all that work? Why did they do all that engineering? Because they thought they were going to make it.
They thought they were going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
They thought it was going into production.
Yep.
Because all of the other turbine car experiments I've seen were a standard car.
Yeah. Didn't they do a Lancer? Or was it a Valiant? I don't remember.
They did a ton of them. They did them going back to the early 50s. Mm-hmm. They did a ton of different ones, but that was the only one that was actually like
the car,
the turbine theme and all the other shit. And I'll bet you that was penned for regular production, and then they canned it.
Have you ever heard that the Charger, the 66 Charger, was supposed to be the production turbine car. I heard that once.
I've heard that too. I've heard
And
that too.
there actually is a design. There's a thing between the two, right? Because the Charger does have a bunch of futuristic aspects to it, right? And unique features. And it has the same full-length console. And it has 4 bucket seats. And it has, it's not like it's the same or anything. But you could see like a lineage from that to that.
I kind of see that.
It just has a space, like the pod gauges, for example, and the electroluminescence. Like it kind of has that space age rocket feel to it in a way.
But really, that was the design ethos of the day.
Yeah.
Right. So
Right.
it's like the electroluminescent lighting really started with the Imperials.
Yeah.
Right. So that wasn't really unique. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I
I've
see
also
that. But
been in a 300G, and it kind of has this. It's the same thing.
yeah.
That dash and the buckets and all that.
But
Again,
if you
not
look at the size,
but
if you look at the size of the turbine car in scale to other, to people sitting in it, it's
yeah,
an A-body size car.
it is. Yeah.
And I just always assumed that they took, like for instance, all of the under skins, like the roof skin and everything else from like a dart, and then
Right.
just added the stampings on top of it.
If this is true to life, which it sure looks detailed, and it matches these diagrams and stuff I'm seeing, that would not be the case.
That's interesting. So that's what that is that would actually be like an unborn letter.
Mhm.
So you got the A body, B body, C body, D body, right?
That's something else.
That's if what you're showing is
Yep.
accurate. Well, you're
I
showing,
think
but if
it is, and the reason is those goofy Russian diagrams here. I just found another one, and it shows that crazy exhaust system. Well, that matches what we were just looking at.
yeah,
So yeah,
and it does make sense. You need an exhaust system like that.
right.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, the amount of cooling in the exhaust, because everyone was freaked out by the, turbine 1,000-degree exhaust burning children or whatever.
The thing is, weight had to be a big deal with that car too.
I think yeah, I don't remember what it weighed, but
Well, if you think about it, right, the turbine, the reason that the turbine never worked is because it's a complete lack of torque.
4,000 pounds, 3953.
Is that
in
what
a car that small? Yeah, it's 4,000 pounds.
Yeah, that was. I think that's probably the thing that killed it, because it's going to take so much motor to get the thing to move.
Yeah, I wonder if 110-inch wheelbase. So there you go. It's right between a Plymouth and a Dart.
Yep.
Nice.
So that's an unborn Mopar body style.
Yep.
They had to have planned that. They had to have engineered that. It wasn't just Kia did the styling. That had to be done by Chrysler.
Oh, I need this. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, Gia built the body. Engel designed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of specific chassis info here. There's all kinds of info on the.
I would love to crawl around one of those cars and just.
This is why Mopar guys are weird, because they obsess over such strange things. I've always found the turbine car interesting. I mean, you probably don't know many other people that own one of these. So
the one that I really find interesting was actually a Chevy, and it was their steam Chevelle.
Never heard of it.
They built it in 1969. So at that point, General Motors had a stake in Opel, and they were working on alternative power plants. So they had a hybrid Opel Kadett in 1969 that may or may not have actually gone into limited production, but they had a functional hybrid. And in '69, they did a steam-powered Chevelle.
I just found pictures of it.
They used a small block Chevy, and it only had one cylinder head on it. So they used
cut
four
it in
cylinders.
half. They
cut it in half.
the rear portion, they used a 3-speed manual and replumbed the block to handle steam. Now, we're getting way out into the weeds here, but I've actually given some thought to figuring out how to run an LA engine on steam. I think that would be fun.
Well, the thing with steam, see, the problem with steam is packaging steam is that it has to be powered both ways.
Oh, this wouldn't be for something to drive. This would be for a stationary application. I just
Oh,
thought it
even
would be
that.
cool. Yeah.
Even then, it has to be driven from both sides.
Right.
You know,
Well, has to?
yes.
It's
Well,
vastly
okay, wait.
superior. It doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
That was common to steam engines because you get double the action in the same amount of space.
Right.
And then, of course, often you'd have double expansion, triple expansion to reuse the same steam and just get maximum power out of it. But
Right.
you don't have to.
But I guess if you've only got 2 cylinders like you would on a locomotive, then they would have to be powered both ways.
Oh, yeah. You've got options.
And if you've got 4 cylinders, no, you're right. The
Right.
following cylinder would keep that. Yes, you're right.
It's still
right.
probably pointlessly uneconomical, doesn't make much horsepower. That's not the point.
But how cool would it be to pull up with a
That's the
steam
point.
Chevelle or a steam anything for that matter?
Yeah.
Let's see what these guys are.
Oh, Diecast Dream Customs, what is up? We've already mentioned Stone Soup in this very live stream. Hold on. Hang on. Hold on. There's so much crap on this desk.
Oh, how's it going, Diecast?
That's Vic. He's the proud owner of Stone Soup, that Lancer. The Lancer scene around the country. I don't know where my Stone Soup... Oh! Stone Soup.
Very nice. Can I get one of those?
Vic?
Is it a sticker? Is that a sticker?
Yeah.
Oh, I need that.
Oh, okay.
I need that.
Yeah. It's so cool. It's just a ratty 62 Lancer. It's awesome.
I love that though. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
The 4-rotor Wankel Corvette. Yeah, that was like 1971 or so. But I don't think that actually ever made it out of the proving grounds. The Chevy Monza was not supposed to be gasoline. The Chevy Monza was not gasoline. The Chevy Monza was supposed to be
rotary powered.
Rotary.
Yep.
And so was the AMC Pacer.
I've heard that too.
You know,
and then
that's
they had to shoehorn what they had in there at the last. Yep.
Yeah, they couldn't get the rotaries to work.
Yep.
So the Monza ended up getting the Vega drivetrain.
Ongoing
and then
issue.
later a V8.
Yeah.
And that led to that socket we had to make, because you had to jack the motor halfway out of the car to get to the spark plugs.
Yep.
And the what else was there? There was another one. Oh, the Pacer. So the Pacer was designed around a rotary.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very last minute, like they actually had the cars waiting for the engines.
Yes.
And they produced them. It's like, nah, this isn't going to happen.
Yep.
So they took this straight 6
in there.
same motor that's in the Jeep, and zip, stuck it in there.
Back then, was it it wasn't 258 yet then, was it? Was it
Yeah, was it?
What was the smaller one? 222 or something?
No, 230 something. But I think it was 258.
Maybe it was. Yeah,
something like that. It doesn't matter. It was the same basic engine.
The point is, yeah, the AMC
it didn't fit.
Inline.
It just did not fit.
Yeah, there was a 232, 258, and apparently Mexican. God, why can't I say that? Mexican spec would probably also know. Apparently, there was a Mexico only 282 cubic inch version.
I can believe that.
Never heard of that. Yeah, 232 is the one I was trying to think of. But 258's, of course, the one Jeep guys know and love.
Which was the inline 6 that you had to break the dashboard on? I did an engine swap. Trying to remember what this was. Was it an AMC? Oh no. Okay, it was a GM van, like a Chevy van, with the straight 6. And in order to remove the engine, you literally had to break the dashboard. Like that was the procedure. And I'll never forget this. I was a kid. I was like, maybe like 20 years old, 22 years old. And I got to get this motor out, and the motor just will not come out no matter what it is. I got the valve cover off. I got to look on, and I can't get this freaking motor out. So I ended up getting a hand on the service manual, and the service manual says, break the dashboard. And it shows you where to break the dashboard. And so you do that. You break the disc, you push it up, and it breaks in the center like this. But the material is made in such a way that you can put it back down, and it all fits back together again.
Wow. Mexican Spec has a 282 in a car. Nice.
Okay.
And Bradley Castle asked if it's much like the Australian Hemi 6. Sort of, yeah. I mean, the head design is different, but they're not. You can look at those two engines and
you see the family resemblance.
There's a resemblance, yeah.
Really, it's just the basic cylinder head architecture is the difference. You know, just the canted valves versus the inline.
Yep.
You can definitely see where they came from the same place.
Oh yeah.
It's like the Buick and the big black Chrysler.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
The late Buick, because the original big block is literally a cross between the FE and the small block Chevy. The bottom end of it's an improvement, right? As far as the block goes, the bottom end is an FE.
I've noticed that the first time I worked on an FE, the first time I saw one in a car, I was like, "Whoa!"
Right? Wow.
It's
this is
kind of
weird.
the same thing.
It's the same, but it's different.
Yeah.
You know, right?
I mean, if you set one naked next to the other naked, it'd probably take me a minute to figure out which one I was looking at from just distance. You know.
Until you look at the like Ford. See, Ford always does strange, crazy things.
Indeed. Is the FE? Which side's forward on the FE? I can't remember. Is it the
I don't remember either. But
no,
the main difference, so two differences, okay?
Oh, the starter's on the other side.
Two major differences.
Yeah.
The main saddles on the FE are skinny like potato chips, and the oil holes don't line up with the bearings. I'm telling you, right?
Huh.
You take an FE. I've built several of them. You take an FE, right? You take the correct bearing, or even the bearing that came out of the motor, okay? And you put it in the saddle, and the oil hole in the saddle does not line up. It halfway overlaps the oil hole that's in the bearing shell.
Wow.
Why? I don't know. You look at it. I remember the first time I took one apart, I was like, that cannot be right. It's a tiny little piss hole, and it's got and it overlaps the hole in the bearing. So that's the one difference. And then the other difference is the freaky, bizarre, psychotic, insane oiling system on those things. Have you ever seen the oiling system on an FE?
No, I rebuilt one once. Well, maybe I just did heads on one once.
Dude, it has the main oil galley runs along the top of the camshaft.
Okay.
The main oil galley runs on top of the camshaft. If you take the camshaft bearings out, you'll see that there are notches in the block that are behind the bearings. Well, that's how it gets the oil from the main galley down to the mains.
Around the shell?
The main bearings. It goes around the outside of the cam bearing.
Huh.
It's the most bizarre thing you've ever seen. And that's where the side oiler came from. Because the only way you can get those engines to live, so the side oiler, they added a second oil galley along the side and then drilled through, and they oiled through the bolts.
Wow.
The cross bolts.
Uh-huh.
And that's how they got enough oil to the crankshaft to get the thing to live.
Wow.
And then of course the heads. If you take a big block Mopar head and you take a small block Chevy, you put them next to each other. The only difference is the way the rockers are mounted. The shaft mount versus stud mount.
I've heard you say that many times on video, and I said it once myself, and someone called me out in the comments and called me a moron. Dude, just look at them. Just look at them.
You don't even need to have them side by side. Just look at the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
The layout is exactly the same.
Right? It's very obvious.
So then when Buick redesigned their V8, they copied the big block Chrysler.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the Buick V8, it's exactly, I mean, all of their, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's a much lighter casting, but all of the design philosophy that was in the Chrysler ended up in the Buick. Just instead of the distributor facing this way, it faces this way.
Over here.
Right, exactly.
Well, maybe that's why I like them.
Well, that's part of it. But they screwed up in a lot of ways. You know, like the way they did shaft mounted rockers, but the outside ones just overhang air, and so it's a weak spot.
Oh,
It was like they could copy it, but they couldn't copy it exactly.
right. I've never been in a Buick engine. I've only enjoyed a couple of them. I don't think I've so much as had a valve cover off a 430 or a 455. Like,
Really.
I don't think so.
I mean, they're nothing really spectacular. The only thing I can tell you is if you ever get your hands on like a, so you've been handling Mopar castings, you know, like your whole life, right? So
Oh, yeah.
you're familiar with some of the
Idiosyncrasies?
imprecisions, let's say,
Yes.
that you find in the ports and the bowls and everything else. Okay, if you look at a set of Buick cylinder heads, right, they are the most precisely, perfectly cast heads you'll ever come across.
Wow.
Like
Yeah,
there
we
is
don't
no
get
cleanup.
that.
You say you have a Buick head, you say, "Well, I'll just clean up the bowls." No, you can't.
They're already
There's
clean.
nothing to clean up. It's already done.
Mexican Spec wants to know if you've ever gone over 2 hours in a live. Yeah, because I think we streamed together once for about 2.5 hours before.
Oh shit! Look what time it is.
That happened fast.
That did go fast.
Dominic said they say the Mopar 340 was modeled after the small block Chevy. I don't think so.
Mexican Spec. When we first started this channel, right? I used to do lives that would sometimes go 3, 4, 5 hours. We did a.
Oh, there was the engine build one that was like what, 10 hours or something? 8-10 hours?
Oh no, it was like 16 hours. That
Was
was
it?
like, oh yeah, that was crazy.
Of course, there's the legendary paint drying incident.
The paint triangle, but the New Year's Eve 2020, we were supposed to do a 24-hour we we're going to do a live 24-hour marathon,
Right.
and I got 11 hours into it, and I lost my voice completely.
Shit.
I was determined. I was trying. I was going to go, right. I even had my 2020 glasses and the whole thing. And Kathy was like, "No, you have to stop," and she pulled me away from the thing.
I was on your New Year's live. Was that this last year, or was that two? Yeah, it had to have been. Yeah, this last year. You had a bunch of people. Mexican Spec was there, but he had this horrible delay problem where he kept getting talked over because there was like a 5 or 6 second delay or something. I guess it takes sounds a long time to get up here from Mexico. But
I remember that. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
you had
yes,
a bunch of different people on.
Yeah, Zero
like,
was with us.
The whole gang was on here or
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, Ari was with us.
Mhm.
Boobar didn't show up.
Mm.
But yeah, no, that was
I was
that
eating
fun. We'll do
chili.
that again. Huh?
I was on the live eating chili.
We did one that was a fundraiser for Kino's Animal Sanctuary, and we did that in the backyard, and I had I was like probably 8 or 10 guys here, and that got we were all drinking, and that got a little, that really went nutty. But we raised a boatload of money for the animal shelter.
So Thumper said that Pontiac engines are the best designed V8 ever. Then why do they blow up so often? They just have like oiling problems.
Because they said, you know what we need, in addition to giant main bearings, let's have some cast connecting rods while we're at it.
Perfect. Yeah, that's the best. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, but normal two guys talking. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the first or second time I was on, we went for like 2.5 hours.
Oh man, we'll pull a plug anytime you're ready. I mean, you're a family man. You got stuff going on, so
yeah, probably have to figure out dinner sometime soon. And I do have to pee. That's usually my lives are 2 hours 15 or so. That's right around there. It's time to go pee. Oh, people over rev Pontiacs, that they don't need RPM. They don't suck like other engines. That's the problem.
My Pontiac story. So I have a lot of Pontiac stories, but the one that always stood in my mind, right? I don't know if I've ever told this before. So we used to hang out on Highland Boulevard on Staten Island, right? That was our place. So it was like American Graffiti, which was always cars cruising up and down, right?
Yeah.
And lots of stoplight to stoplight action. So we're hanging out at H&L Oldsmobile. It's an Oldsmobile dealer. It's about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. There's like no traffic. It's all quiet, right? And we're getting ready to go off and race because we used to race over by the hospital, right? and we're getting ready to race. So a bunch of cars sitting in the parking lot, and we're ready to start heading over there. And off in the distance, we hear this wee. So somebody says, "That's," I don't remember the guy's name. "That's so and so's Trans Am. He's got the blower on it." Oh, really? Wow, right? So now there's like, you got a picture. There's like maybe 20 of us hanging out in this parking lot, and like now we're listening, and this thing's still all the way down the boulevard, but you could hear the blower coming. So now we're listening. It's getting closer, and everybody's speculating. Yeah, it's got like 1,000 horsepower. It's gonna clean everybody's clock. That's it. This is the end. And then now he pulls in a sight. We could see it, and it's a red Trans Am. And it's got this blower sticking out the hood, and the thing's just making all of the blower sounds. And it's got like open headers. So it's like making it's like blower open header sounds. I'm like, oh, it's just badass. So we're all watching, and he rolls up to the light, okay, stops at the light. The light's red, and we're all staring and we're watching. We're like, okay, this is like, we're all done. This is like the doomsday machine. We'll just go home and be little girls, right? So the light turns green. He mats it, and literally threw the crankshaft on the ground, just all over the ground.
Nice.
Parts tinkling off. It's Pontiac.
Pontiac, the best engine. I just heard a turbo Subaru. Right out of that. Jeff Hutchins said the best engine ever is a Cummins 12 valve with a Bosch P7100, and I am strongly inclined to agree for a certain application. That is just a damn good engine. Not so much for race car stuff. Guy. I know you're not. I really love the Cummins. The Cummins is great. It's the stuff of legends. But again, that's truck stuff. It's just not the same.
Yeah, you guys if you gotta take a leak, go ahead and do that. And I'll run through the comments here.
I'll be back.
Yeah.
Play the Jeopardy theme song.
So you guys asking about Kiwi. Kiwi's doing his own thing. Kiwi's doing good. He's doing his own thing, and I wish him luck with whatever endeavor he gets involved in. Kiwi's a good guy. Let's see. Rich B, when you saw that coming from a mile away, you mean the story with the Pontiac? Yeah. I had the same, literally the same exact story, and it's an interchangeable story. So I guess it was around, I'm going to say it was like 1988, 1989, and we were at an IHRA national event, and it might have been the Winter Nationals in Darlington. I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. But I was with Jerry Caminito's Blue Thunder funny car. I was crewing on that car, and there was a car in the pits called Blind Faith. Now, we had never heard of this car. We had never heard of the guy. And the guy's name was Mike Edstrom, right? So we're busy. We're working on our stuff, right? We're trying to get ready to go make our runs. And they call out the first round of Fuel Funny Car qualifying, right? So Edstrom's car is at the front of the lanes. And the announcer was Brett Kepner, right? So Brett is like telling everybody now, he's saying, the car's name is Blind Faith because the owner, Mike Edstrom, is blind. It might have been Mike. I don't remember, but the last time was Edstrom. He's blind. He's completely blind. He built this car, and he works on it, and he tunes it, and he's completely blind, right? So now we're all like, now he's got the attention of everybody, on the grounds, and especially us, because we're working on fuel cars. And to even fathom somebody putting a car like this together and tuning it, being blind, this is just mind-blowing, right? So naturally, everybody stops what they're doing. And now we're all up on the starting line, right? Because we got to see this car run. This is the most inspirational thing. And while we're getting ready for him to fire the car, Brett is going on about this guy's experience and how he's done this and how he's done that. And yet he's managed to build this blown nitro car, and he's completely blind. And we're all like totally in awe. It's like, wow, how inspirational is this? So they light the car, okay? They drop the body. The car rolls into the water. The driver just just starts to lean into the throttle, and it did the same thing that Pontiac did. It threw the crankshaft on the ground. It just puked every bit of gut that engine had in it all over the ground in the water box. It never got out of the water box. And we all like collectively kind of turned and looked at each other. It was like, well, the guy's blind. What do you expect?
I think you told that story when you were talking with Brian.
Probably.
I love that one. Someone asked if that's a Les Paul. Yeah, but it's a cheap one from Korea.
And I don't mean to make fun of the guy. I know he had been around for a long time. He had successes after that, but it was just you had to be there in the moment. You know what I mean? The moment is very important to these things.
Yeah.
Tony, not Tiny. I like being called Tiny. It's fine. That's good.
You're not that short.
Grease Belly Garage likes Kiwi and Art. They're both great guys. And Jeff from Two Hacks Garage is in the house. Best 70s engine, the Briggs and Stratton. And there's the Gins, Professor Gins, blew up an engine before it made a single rotation. I can believe that. That's a nitro thing, man. That's people don't understand some of the stuff that we went through with those cars. It looks so easy. It looks so simple. You watch it on TV. You have no idea. You guys have no idea. But I've seen that happen a few times.
I've never had the pleasure. I hope to build an engine that explodes someday because I've made some mistakes and I've never been punished for it, you know?
Oh, dude, no. See, nitro racing is about punishment. It's just how am I going to get punished today? What level of punishment? You know, the thing about fuel, like I've done a lot of shit in my life, right? But like the dozen years that I spent like doing that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It's like after you're done with that, and this is quite a literal statement, okay? You cannot show me any kind of hell that I don't know already. You know what I mean? It was like,
I have an idea. Hey, Mark, what is up? How's it going? You made it.
The bitch goddess night. We used to call it the bitch goddess nitro.
Yeah, I've never had the pleasure.
Oh, please. I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, the experiences that I had wouldn't, and really none of them, very few of them actually have to do with on track. It's the preparation and the Ironman contest. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, going down the road and working on shit in the trailer because it's got to be ready to roll out and go. You know what I mean? You've got 3 hours to get to, you know, a track that's 5 hours away and the car's still apart.
It's not dead,
and the only way you get enough money to get gas to get back home again is if you get the car on the starting line. So, yeah, you have no idea. That's the spirit of night race, and Gins knows what I'm talking about. Anybody who's been there knows it.
Mark Sauvé wants to know if we know what day it is. Yeah, but we had important questions to answer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And I don't think we've managed that yet.
I think maybe we might be chipping away at it.
Well, we know it's something in the blood. There are certain traits common to all Mopar guys.
It's the design language, man. I'm telling you. It just resonates. The design language resonates. You take a part from a Mopar and it feels right. It looks right. It's the best way. You know what I mean? I can't explain it any other way. It's the best way. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be an oil pump.
Even when it isn't.
Even when it isn't, it's still the best way. It's the beautiful way. It's the perfect way.
Someone, I don't know why. Example of that that just happened today. Someone commented on my Superbird. I redid the dash. I went through the dash to make everything work yesterday, right? And someone commented on my Instagram post and was like, well, you should put headlight relays in that car because you might have headlight switch problems. And I'm like, if I wanted to do that, I would just go back 2 years and watch my own video where I explained how to do it and why it's a good idea. But no, this is crap, and it's the right crap. It's how it's supposed to be.
I want my switch to be a little hot. I like the connector to be a little melty. If it's not a little melty, I feel it's not doing its job.
The times the headlights have stopped working on my Mopar at night, those are memories I will never forget. I could tell you exactly where I was every time it happened.
Dude, I met one of my best friends I've ever had. His name is Paul Antonis. He pops in and out every once in a while, right?
Okay.
I met my best friend, one of my best friends that I've ever had, because of faulty Mopar headlights. I was on my way into so there was a Gateway Park on Staten Island, right? I had a 69 Charger and a black primered 69 Charger, 446 pack. And I'm going into this Gateway Park and my lights start doing the blinking, okay? At the same time, coming the other way, I got a car blinking lights at me, okay? And I'm thinking that they're blinking the lights because my lights are blinking.
Yeah.
We both stopped within a couple of feet of each other, each going the other way, and he had a black primered 69 Charger, and we had headlight failure at the same time.
Whoa. Something's wrong in the universe.
I think it was yeah, no, it was like remember I said before, like the universe does things, you know.
Oh yeah.
The universe did that. It put these two black primered 69 Chargers with headlight issues at the same time at the same place.
Dude.
And we worked on each other's cars. We figured out what was wrong with them. We were kids. We were like, 20 years old, 21 years old.
Wow.
Figured out what was wrong, and we got ourselves going, and we became the best of friends from that point.
That's amazing. And weird, yeah. It was aliens.
Of course it was aliens.
Yep. I was helping someone move once. I was on the back road, the spooky back road. There aren't any lights or houses or anything or driveways. In my 74 Dart sedan, 318, 3 on the tree. It's my first 318 on the 3 on the tree experience. Super fun car. Just don't try to bang second. And the lights just went dink, and I got him to come back. And it happened a second time. And then the next time it happened, I was on another back road here. They just shut off completely. And so I pulled over, ripped a wire out of somewhere, stripped it with my teeth, and jammed it in. I bypassed the dimmer switch and just put power straight to the lights. And it was that way for quite a while. Till we parted the car out, I'm sure.
See, that's how I know you were a true Mopar guy. Because we strip wires with our teeth. Everybody else, they got to have the dikes, so they got to have the right wire strippers. Yeah, like a teeth.
That's what they're for. That's nature's wire strippers.
You're a Mopar guy.
See? My 73 Swinger did the same thing. That was on I-5 at night at about 65 miles an hour. That was fun. But I knew the fix by then.
C308's asking if I was ever at the Mile High Nationals, 84 through 88. No, it's one of the races. Wait. Maybe 88 or 89, but I don't remember. It all blends in. It was just zigzagging from one track to another, one race to another. And if nothing remarkable happened at that particular race, I don't remember it. So, yeah, I was there in either 88 or 89, maybe 90. I would have been with Caminito. So if you find a race where Joey Caminito was in there, Blue Thunder, that would have been.
Scoop had a great comment, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but the comment was, "That's nothing. Every Chevy truck on Earth has one running light out." Dude, it's so true. All of them. Like from, the mid-90s, whenever they started having those lights on all the time.
That's the turn signal switch.
They have, how would the turn signal switch turn them?
Because the everything runs through the turn signal switch. The halfways.
But they have a separate running light bulb starting in the 90s sometime. They have a running light below the headlights that's always on, like constantly on. Chevy trucks do.
Okay.
Like on into the 2000s, like maybe not today, but Your average.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm
2007
picturing the amber light that would be used.
Yeah, not that.
Not
No,
that.
those
Okay, never
Chevys
mind.
have that extra running light on the front, and they're always
Okay.
on all day. They're always on, and one of them is always out. Like a 2007 Silverado. If you go find a 2007 Silverado in a parking lot, when it starts, one of those lights will be out. It's amazing. It's a rule.
What was that now? Somebody was talking about scoops. Turbocharged Mopars in the 80s featured functional hood grills. Oh, yeah. High pressure windshield base was forcing. Yes. Okay.
Rad. I didn't know that. Nothing like White Trash Motorsports, nothing like tooling down a back road and lights out. So that happened to me the most recent time, riding shotgun in my brother's Fury after I blew up a tire on my wagon. And that was good times. They didn't die all the way. He has LED lights on that for some reason. He's a weirdo. And they didn't totally go off, but they went super dim like 3 times.
That's one of my pet peeves too.
I'm not. I don't.
LED lights on a
Just say no.
car. Just say no.
Yeah.
Just say no.
He could probably hear me right now. It's
Grease
ridiculous.
Belly Garage wants to talk about glass fuel filters.
Oof.
Grease Belly Garage, go ahead. See what you want about.
We'll wait.
We'll wait.
Yeah. I have some things to say about them.
I've never had any problem with them.
The 3-piece spin apart glass filters?
Yeah.
You've never had any problem with those? So I get countless comments.
I've had problems where I myself didn't tighten it enough.
Okay,
but I've never had one fail of its own accord.
2 cars. One was the 68 Dart GTS, and we got it running. It had been sitting for a long, long time. That's what was on it, so we just left what was on it. They had changed. It had no transmission in it or something. I don't know. We put a 4-speed back in it. It was a 4-speed car, but it had a 904. It had been sitting a long time. We got it running, and the glass filter that was on there leaked bad. And it wasn't a fire, but it was bad. Okay. And it was just coming around one of the gaskets. If I had, retorqued them before, maybe it would have been fine. Don't know. The other one was the 65 Newport, and it had that glass filter on there for quite some time. And one day it went boom. And that's what it was. It leaked out of that glass filter because I got it running again and learned.
I've never had a problem. Now I don't go looking for them. I wouldn't go to the parts store and buy one and put it on.
Yeah.
But I've had countless cars that have had them.
Yeah.
And I just keep them on there and just change out the cartridges. I've got a couple. And what I like about them is that, especially if you've got an older, so you got a car that's been sitting for 15 years, and the gas tank has got.
Oh yeah, you can actually clean it. You can actually, yep.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of having to okay, now I got to go throw another filter on there. You can just unscrew it, blow it out, screw it back together again, and go another 20 miles before you got to do it again. So.
Oh yeah.
They do have their purpose.
I could see that. But, it's funny. I always get comments because I have a love for plastic fuel filters. I always use plastic fuel filters.
I love the plastic fuel filters too.
I always have them in dumb places. I get so many people saying, you can't use that plastic filter there. That's going to set your 383 on fire.
But that's what Chrysler used there.
That's what they did. You can't put rubber fuel hose on top of your engine. Why? Chrysler did.
I know.
You can't put your coil sideways. Anyway.
Grease Belly Garage saying he's had the same problems with metal fuel filters, small leaks. I've never had a problem with a metal fuel.
Never. No.
But I don't like the metal fuel filters because you can't tell what's going on. I like to look at a glance. It's like, oh, okay, that's dirty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's why I like the plastic ones. You can see what's going on.
Yep.
SC308, no, that was not a Walmart tire that failed. It was a 30-year-old... I don't remember what it was. Anyway, it was super dumb that I put it on there. Obviously, I just did it for the views.
Dust Devil Garage, the angry viewer voice.
Yeah, angry commenter voice, yeah. What's up?
You can't do that!
You gotta do this.
You're gonna kill everybody.
Yeah. That's on my lives. We have the Dead Dodge Garage drinking game, and one of the things you have to drink for is the commenter voice.
I do. I find myself doing it all the time, like in videos. I don't really intend to, but I shoot a video. I do completely off the top of my head. I really never know what I'm going to say until I've said it, which is probably not the way to do this stuff.
Yeah.
But I always come back to a comment, and I've got that comment voice in my head.
Yep. That's what it is. I don't know why I do it, but I do.
The guitarologist, loved the video on Harley. Watched it earlier today. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Never buy tires at Walmart. 30-year-old tires are okay if you put tubes in them. Not at 85 miles an hour for 70 miles.
Yeah, limited use are okay. I mean, I don't.
And they would have been fine if I just used them around town. It would have been fine. But I was following my brother at 85 in the left lane from Portland to almost Olympia, Washington, and
delamination becomes the thing.
Well, it didn't. It bulged. It didn't come apart, but it bulged. Suddenly, it was vibrating, and what it was is it was super hot, and it was.
Yep.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
That's the worst thing. That happens. You know when that happens, guys use regular radial tires on trailers.
Really?
Yeah. That's why a trailer tire is a whole different sidewall construction.
Yeah, totally different sidewall. Yep.
So when you put a car tire on a trailer, a double axle trailer, it doesn't happen on single axle trailers, only double axle trailers. Every time you make any correction as you're going down the road, just following the road, the tires are working against each other,
fighting each other,
scrubbing against each other, and the heat gets to them, and those belts break, and then you get that boom, 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 boom.
You know, my crappy old car trailer had crappy old car tires. It also had no suspension, zero suspension, solidly mounted axles, 14-inch wheels, and car tires, and they lived for a long time. But I could definitely see that happening.
Well, if you drive down the road and you see a trailer on the side of the road, like the tire blown up on it, look at it. It's always a car tire.
Will do.
Let's see.
Wow. What about split rims? What about them?
The tragedy is seeing an old Survivor car on 12 and 13-inch wheels running marathons. Oh, you're talking about like the lowrider stuff? I kind of like lowrider.
Well, I'm guessing like A-bodies, early A's had 13-inch wheels. I think that's what he's talking about. I don't know what had a 12-inch wheel.
Well, I don't see that. That's to me. See, that's the big pet peeve, right? Is oversized rims because okay, there are certain things that colors are one thing, right? Very important, right? And the size of the rim, because the people who drew these cars out, okay, the stylists, they were spot on. They knew every little thing, and they knew the tire sizes, the amount of black that they were dealing with. So everything is styled with that fixed thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now when you take one of these older cars and you change the ratio of rim to tire, right? You change, it throws everything off. You go anything bigger than
look right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It just looks wrong. It's terrible. And then the other thing is when the people put high impact colors on cars that weren't designed to have high impact colors.
Yeah.
You know, like a plum crazy Cordoba.
Oh yeah. I know a guy with a plum crazy 66 Charger.
Oh, and it just looks so wrong.
It's just not right. And it's a nice car, but it just doesn't look right. We've been at this for 3 hours. The commenters are noticing.
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, we can call it a night. You know, we both have to do lives tomorrow night.
Oh yeah.
So for you guys who aren't regulars, so every Sunday night I go on at 7:00 Central Time because I'm in Tennessee, and I go until 9:00 every Sunday night, Now he starts an hour after I do, and then he finishes an hour after I do. So our lives, our Sunday Night Lives, overlap each other. So, and you guys are free to go back and forth. You know, it's encouraged.
Yeah, it's so weird because the only live streams I ever watched were on a Sunday. And so then when I was going to start doing live streams, it just seemed like a good day. Isn't that weird? It's just weird. Like,
Yeah.
Because the only guy whose lives I ever hung out for, they were always on a Sunday. So it just seemed like the day for it.
It works. It's a good night to chill and catch up on everybody, you know, everything for the week. And, you know.
The viewers, I know I already mentioned the Dead Dodge Garage drinking game. It's not that it's a huge part of it, but they appreciate having an excuse to hang out on a Sunday.
We're both very fortunate to have the kind of you know, people that we've got on our lives. And,
oh yeah.
Well, I mean, just to have this forum and all is we're very lucky. We're very lucky and very grateful for you guys.
Absolutely. There are a lot of names in this very live that I see in mine, and that is, of course, because we have a lot of overlap.
Yeah. Well, gee, you think 2 Mopars centric?
Yeah. Let's see. All Mopars, beards, hats, glasses, hair, black T-shirts, love of carburetors.
I do love carburetors. The BBD is, I think, my favorite part.
I like the BBD.
Right? So it's like
the throttle shaft problem. It's bad, but at the same time, like, you know, what's a little gas?
The throttle shift thing never bothered me.
The 4-barrel, I think, is where I'm happiest. Because it's not so easy to tune a BBD as it is, you know, the AVS or AFB.
Well, when you say tune, I'm talking about just like a production car that's just going to go down the road, and you're just driving it. It's a regular car.
Yeah.
The BBD to me represents the pinnacle of engineering.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that ever goes wrong with them internally, right, is the needle and seat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you change it.
You
just unscrew it and screw another one in. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's the only carburetor I can think of that you can run with the top off of it.
I lit one on fire once doing that. It was immediate. I've done it a few times, but the last time I ever did was because I hit the key and it didn't actually start. It just went, and I don't know why. I don't know how, but it was awesome. And I've never done it since then. But I used to think that was cool. Yeah.
No, I remember when I was a kid, like just starting to learn about carburetors.
Yeah.
And I think that's what endeared me to the BBD, because I was able to actually take the lid off and watch it happen inside of it. You know what I mean? And it was like,
that's cool.
Oh, that's how it works.
Good times.
All right, we're over 3 hours, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
We're not gonna have anything to talk about tomorrow night. We're gonna sit here on our lives, and we're just gonna stare. We talked out.
We're all lived out. Well, I think we solved it. I think we figured out what's wrong with Mopar, guys, and we did hear from Mopar Joe, which was awesome. Thanks to Mopar Joe for hopping in here. I love that guy. Yeah, we did it.
We did. So, guys, everybody contributed super chat. Thank you so much. Always appreciated. Never expected, but always appreciated. Everybody contributed with your presence and your conversation. Thank you. Jamie, what do you want to talk about? Do you have anything you want to promote?
I've got a really good video coming out tomorrow.
Ooh, on what?
Wing car.
If
you like big blocks and 4 speeds and wing cars that have been sitting for 40 plus years doing burnouts, you should watch my video tomorrow.
Nice. Okay.
But if you don't like those things, don't.
No, watch it. Watch it anyway.
Okay, fine. Watch it.
And for any of my guys who aren't familiar, I don't know if that's even possible, but Jamie is Dead Dodge Garage. Please go over there, sub, like, share, give this guy as much promotion as you possibly can. He's the future. He's the future. Long after us old timers are gone, that's the guy who's carrying the torch into the next millennium or whatever. I don't know. Into the future.
I'm trying. Yeah, Mexican Spec. I think many of my videos are good. I would not say all. Many, I think.
Dude, you're underestimating yourself. You're fantastic.
That's important. I think it's a personality trait.
You put a lot of work into those things.
Oh God, you have no idea. I haven't even started editing that video. I just told everyone to go watch, and I've got some hours ahead of me tonight doing that.
All right, so we're gonna call it a night, guys. Again, thank you very much, Mexican Spec. I didn't see any of our other regular mods tonight, but Foo Bar, Zero, Ari, you guys were always there with us in spirit. So, and Mexican Spec, thanks for hanging out, keeping everything smooth. And I will see you guys tomorrow night, same bad time, same bad channel, and then Jamie will see you in between.
Yeah.
Or something
Thanks,
like
everybody.
that. I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna hit this end. Good night, everybody.
Bye now.